Chapter 234 Luxury Private Room, Order. Zhu Zhang, Lin Fan, and the others turned around when they heard the voice. The waiter at the side said respectfully, "Hello, General Manager." Zhu Zhang, Young Master Peng, Young Master, and the others were shocked. "Do the General Manager." "I." "The General Manager of the Imperial Hotel." One had to know. The Imperial Hotel was a landmark hotel in Jiangbei. It was extremely luxurious and its construction price was probably more than 10 billion. The general manager of such a hotel was definitely an amazing big shot. Even Zhu Zhang's father could not compare to him. Now he had actually appeared in front of them. Compared to the shock of the crowd, Lin Fan remained calm. "The waiter just said that there are no more ordinary private rooms, right?" he asked. "I heard that the Imperial Hotel has a large luxury private room." "Young Master Zhu is treating today. He's the young master of De Tong Company, so he's not short of money. There's no need to help him save money." What kind of person was Wang Fengyi? When he heard Lin Fan say that, he thought about it and reacted. Young Master Zhu was probably showing off, so Lin Fan did not want to expose his identity just yet. Hence Wang Fengyi said, "Young Master Zhu, there's a luxurious private room on the 66th floor of our Imperial Hotel. You can go up now and watch the sunset. You can also enjoy the night view later. Shall I bring you up now?" "What, all right then, let's go up." Zhu Zhang was stunned for a moment. He had never thought that a big shot like Wang Fengyi would be so polite to him. He even wanted to personally bring them to the private room. Sitting in the high-end elevator, if it was not for the number on the display screen increasing, everyone would not know that the elevator was going up. It was very smooth. When the elevator door opened, the word 66F appeared in front of everyone. Entering VIP Room 8, everyone looked at the spacious room, the brilliant diamond-shaped chandelier, and the luxurious tables and chairs. Other than Lin Fan, everyone else had a look of shock on their faces. "Young Master Zhu, are you satisfied with this private room?" Wang Fengyi asked. Although he was asking Zhu Zhang, his gaze was on Lin Fan. When he saw Lin Fan nod his head, Wang Fengyi's face was filled with joy. "I'm satisfied, I'm very satisfied, Zhu Zhangdo." "All right, I'll bring the menu over now," Wang Fengyi said. Then he turned around and prepared to leave the private room. Soon, he seemed to have thought of something and said, "By the way, the minimum cost for this VIP room is 88,888 yuan. Is that okay?" 88,888 yuan. Zhu Zhang's body trembled slightly. One had to know. His family's De Tong Company was only worth 100 million yuan. This was the market value of the company. Their family's total assets were only tens of millions. He had begged his parents at home for a long time before they agreed to buy the Porsche 911. Zhu Zhang's heart was bleeding from the collision earlier. He wondered how much it would cost to repair the Porsche 911. Now, eating in a private room with a minimum spend of 88,888 yuan. 88,888 yuan. His monthly allowance was only 100,000 yuan. What should he do after this meal? However, he had already said that he was very satisfied with the private room. Could it be that he was going to leave now? Then what would young Master Peng and young Master Du think of him? What would Xuan think of him? Thinking of this. "No problem," Zhu Zhang finally gritted his teeth. Wang Fengyi nodded and left the private room. At this moment, Manager Li, who had been silent all this while, immediately gave him a thumbs up and praised, "A private room with a minimum spend of 88,888 yuan. Forget about eating here, I've never even heard of this private room before. Today I've completely opened my eyes. Young Master Zhu, you're amazing." Zhu Zhang could not help but reveal a smug expression. "It's just 88,888 yuan, it's nothing." Of course, for some people that might not be the case. This meal might be their annual income. As he spoke, his gaze landed on Lin Fan. "Zhu Zhang, did your dad's De Tong Company receive a big business deal recently?" young Master Du asked. "Or have you hooked up with someone?" Eh? Zhu Zhang did not pay attention to the situation in his own company at all. He said vaguely, "Ooh, did it? I don't know either." "That must be the case. Otherwise, the general manager of the Imperial Hotel wouldn't have personally brought us to the private room after hearing De Tong Company's name. Zhu Zhang, no, brother Zhang, if anything good happens to you in the future, don't forget us, young Master Pang said. Young Master Du followed closely, yes. Don't forget about us. Then he picked up the tea on the table and said, Brother Zhu Zhang, the wine hasn't been served yet. There's only a cup of tea here. Let me toast you first. Yes, a toast to Brother Zhu Zhang. Young Master Pang also picked up his teacup. Zhu Zhang listened to the two of them call him Brother Zhang and looked at them seriously serving him tea. He was so happy. He thought to himself, this 88,888 yuan is worth it. Then he picked up his teacup and said, You're too polite. Don't worry, I won't forget you in the future. At this moment, Wang Fengyi slowly walked in with a heavy menu. In the past, young Master Pang and young Master Du would definitely not stand on ceremony and take the menu. Then, they would directly order according to their preferences. However, today they handed the menu to Zhu Zhang and asked him to order. Zhu Zhang enjoyed this treatment very much. He ordered a few dishes that he liked and handed the menu to Xuan. Lil Xuan, you can order whatever you want to eat and drink. After saying that, he seemed to feel that it was not heroic enough and said, the minimum spend is 88,888 yuan, but you don't have to order according to that standard. That's just the minimum spend. Zhu Zhang's tone was calm. It looked like 88,888 yuan was just a few yuan in his eyes. He wanted to let Xuan know how rich he was and how much of a superior life she could lead if she became his girlfriend. However, what Zhu Zhang did not know was that Xuan had never been a vain person. I don't know how to order, she said lightly. Lin Fan took the menu and said, then I'll order for you. Xuan could not help but be stunned for a moment, but she did not say anything. Lin Fan pointed at the menu and said, I want this, this, and this. After thinking for a moment, he muttered, I heard Lil Xuan say that drinking good red wine can make one look good, but the wine here just seems so expensive. Give me a bottle of the best red wine you have, Zhu Zhang waved his hand. In his opinion, even the best red wine, such as Lafite, should only be tens of thousands of yuan. Adding on the dishes that cost tens of thousands of yuan, the final price would be less than 100,000 yuan. It was completely affordable. After all, the minimum cost of this private room was 88,888 yuan. However, he could use this opportunity to show his love for Xuan in front of her. Zhu Zhang could already see Xuan falling in love with him and throwing herself at him. Then, young Master Pang, young Master Du, and Manager Li also ordered a few dishes and a few bottles of wine. Wang Fengyi noted down everyone's orders before leaving the private room. It had to be said that the Imperial Hotel was indeed a landmark hotel in Jiangbei. After a while, delicate-looking dishes that could even be said to have an artistic aura were served one after another. Everyone looked at the dishes on the table and smelled the fragrance in the air. They could not help but drool. However, young Master Pang and young Master Du suppressed the urge to taste the food. First, they poured a glass of Maotai each and said, Brother Zhu Zhang, let me toast you first. Manager Li, who was at the side, also quickly raised his glass and said, Young Master Zhu Zhang, a toast to you. So many people toasted him together, including young Master Pang and young Master Du. Zhu Zhang was so happy that he could not close his mouth. He said, Ha ha ha, you're too polite, you're too polite. As he spoke, he also poured himself a glass of liquor and said, Let's all drink. The four of them clinked their glasses lightly and downed the contents in one gulp. Then, Zhu Zhang looked at the Australian lobster on the table that was emitting wisps of smoke and was carved like an angel. He said, Lil Xuan, this dish looks good, do you want to try it? Lil Xuan, young Master Zhu is so concerned about you, why aren't you thanking him? Manager Li chimed in. Originally, Xuan did not want to bother with Zhu Zhang. However, after hearing Manager Li's words, she could only say, Thank you, young Master Zhu. Then she picked up her chopsticks and picked up a small piece of lobster meat before putting it in her mouth. Ha ha ha, why are you being so polite with me? Zhu Zhang laughed. At this moment, Wang Fengyi and a waiter walked in. Wang Fengyi was holding a decanter, while the waiter was holding a bottle of red wine with English words written all over it. Young Master Zhu, this is the red wine you wanted. Do you want to open it now? Wang Fengyi asked. It's the best, isn't it? Zhu Zheng raised his head. That's right, Wang Fengyi said. Zhu Zheng could not help but look at Lin Fan arrogantly. It was as if he was saying, I can easily give Lil Xuan the best. What about you? All right, open it, Zhu Zheng said. When the waiter heard this, he carefully opened it. Boom! With a soft sound, the cork was finally taken out. Then the waiter poured the dark red wine into the decanter. Zhu Zheng said, this is the best wine in the Imperial Hotel, it's definitely good. Lil Xuan, try it. I don't know how to drink, Xuan said. Lil Xuan, who doesn't drink when eating, Manager Li asked. Besides, this is the red wine that young Master Zhu specially ordered for you. You have to drink some. As he spoke, Manager Li picked up the decanter and poured a glass of wine for Xuan. Then he poured himself another glass of wine and said, Look, I'm drinking it too, everyone must drink it. In fact, this was just one of the reasons why he picked up the decanter to pour wine for Xuan. After all, Wang Fengyi had just said that this was the best red wine in the Imperial Hotel. Its price was probably tens of thousands of yuan per bottle. How could he not drink such precious red wine? Then he poured a glass for Zhu Zheng, young Master Pang, young Master Du, and Lin Fan. This action was to fulfill what he had just said, everyone had to drink. Young Master Pang, young Master Du, and the others were also curious about the best red wine in the Imperial Hotel. They all raised their wine glasses and took a sip. Good wine, they exclaimed. Delicious. If it's good, then drink more, Zhu Zheng said with a smile. After saying that, he took a sip. Zhu Zheng, young Master Pang, young Master Du, Manager Li, and the others chatted with each other. The atmosphere in the private room was extremely lively. Lin Fan was the only one sitting in the corner, eating quietly. And Xuan felt that Lin Fan was too lonely and was being bullied by Zhu Zheng. She could not help but feel bad. Thus, Xuan picked up her wine glass and whispered, Thank you, let me toast you. In reality, how was Lin Fan lonely? To Lin Fan, not being disturbed while eating was a good thing. As for being angered by Zhu Zheng, Lin Fan did not care at all. However, he still put down his chopsticks in the face of Xuan's toast and said, You're welcome. As he spoke, Lin Fan picked up the glass and swayed it gently. Then he gently poured the red wine into his mouth. Lin Fan's series of actions were all seen by Xuan. In her eyes, Lin Fan did not seem to be wearing casual clothes and sitting in a noisy private room. Instead, he had transformed into a noble in a luxurious black suit. He was sitting at a table that was more than 10 meters long and leisurely tasting fine wine. Lin Fan's movements were so elegant that Xuan was a little mesmerized. Skilled drinking gentleman full of charming aura. After drinking the wine, Lin Fan could not help but nod his head and say softly, It's silky, sweet, and mellow, as expected of a bottle from Chateau Margaux. Even though he did not look at the bottle, Lin Fan, who had drinking gentleman, only needed a sip to immediately recognize the origin of this bottle of wine. After Lin Fan drank some soup, his stomach started to swell. Hence he got up and went to the washroom outside. When Lin Fan came out of the washroom, he heard a surprised voice. Mr. Lin. When Lin Fan heard the voice, he could not help but turn around. He tried to recall where he had seen this person before. Back then, Lin Fan accepted Chairman De Ma and Chairman Xiao Ma's invitation. When he entered the venue of the internet conference, both chairmen had personally come up to him and shook hands. Although it was just a quick glance, Lin Fan remembered that the middle-aged man in front of him now had sat next to him back then. Even though Lin Fan recognized him, he did not know his name at all. Thus he asked in a slightly puzzled tone, And you are? The middle-aged man said excitedly, Mr. Lin, I attended the internet conference in Jiangbei. I saw you at the conference. My name is Jiang Cheng. No wonder he was so excited. Back then, Chairman De Ma and Chairman Xiao Ma had personally stepped down from the stage to shake hands with Lin Fan and greet him. Jiang Cheng was extremely shocked. After all, Chairman De Ma and Chairman Xiao Ma. They could be said to be the supreme big shots of the internet industry in the country. If even two supreme beings had to take the initiative to welcome this young man, then what sort of status did Lin Fan have? It could be said that Lin Fan's appearance had been carved into the depths of Jiang Cheng's mind. He wanted to meet Lin Fan again. If he could establish a relationship with Lin Fan, it would be a great thing for him. Unexpectedly, today it had become reality. Lin Fan looked like he had just realized something and said, "So, it's you, Mr. Jiang, hello." When Jiang Chengyan heard this, his slightly weathered face flushed with excitement. Mr. Lin actually greeted him. In contrast to Jiang Cheng's excitement, Lin Fan remained calm. Lin Fan continued chatting for a while before turning around and leaving. Jiang Cheng stood at the same spot and looked at Lin Fan respectfully. When Lin Fan walked into the room, he slowly retracted his gaze. At this moment, Jiang Cheng suddenly remembered that he had forgotten to give Lin Fan his name card. He was filled with regret. Thus, Jiang Cheng hurriedly walked toward his private room and prepared to pick up his glass to give a toast to Lin Fan in his private room. He would also hand over his name card. At this moment in the big private room, a few men in suits and leather shoes asked with concern when they saw Jiang Cheng return, "President Jiang, are you okay?" Obviously, they thought that Jiang Cheng had drunk too much and went to the bathroom to throw up. Jiang Cheng waved his hand. "I'm fine, I just met a friend, I'll go and give him a toast first." As he spoke, he picked up his glass and a bottle of Maodai. He was about to walk out. In the private room, someone immediately stood up. "President Jiang's friend is also my friend. I'll also go over and make a toast." "I'll go too. Let's go together." After one person spoke, everyone quickly stood up. "No need, I'll be back soon," Jiang Cheng said hesitantly. "The main thing is that you don't know each other." That was because he did not know if they would disturb Lin Fan or even make him unhappy if so many people went to toast him. If it was any other time, everyone would know that Jiang Cheng did not want them to follow him. However, everyone had drunk too much, so their reactions were slower by half a beat. "So what?" someone laughed. "We'll get to know each other after a drink." Then everyone continued to walk outside. When Jiang Cheng saw this, he knew that he could not persuade them. In addition, he felt that it was not a bad choice to let everyone go over and toast together. This was because it would show Lin Fan even more respect. "All right, let's go together then," Jiang Cheng reminded them. "However, don't make a racket later. You have to maintain sufficient courtesy and respect. Don't undermine him just because he's young." Although everyone drank a little too much when they heard Jiang Cheng's clear and serious reminder, they all understood that the person who they were going to toast later probably had a powerful background. Therefore, everyone immediately put away their playful thoughts and nodded repeatedly. After a while, they arrived at the door of VIP Room 8. Jiang Cheng first tidied his clothes before slowly knocking on the door. At this moment in VIP Room 8, Zhu Zheng, Young Master Peng, Young Master Du, Manager Li, and the others were drinking and chatting happily. At this moment, there was a knock on the door. "Is there still food?" Zhu Zheng asked curiously. "Come in." Krieg. Then Jiang Cheng and a large group of people walked in with glasses and a bottle of Maodai. Jiang Cheng first swept his gaze across the private room. When he saw Lin Fan's figure, his face could not help but reveal a hint of respect. "Knowing that you're here, I felt that I had to come over and offer a toast. Otherwise, it would be a little rude. I hope I'm not disturbing you," Jiang Cheng said carefully. "It's fine," Lin Fan said casually. When Jiang Chengyan heard this, he heaved a sigh of relief. Then he raised his glass and proposed a toast. "Who are you?" Zhu Zheng asked. Initially, Jiang Cheng was still thinking about how he should pass his name card to Lin Fan. At this moment, after hearing Zhu Zheng's words, he was slightly happy and said, "I'm Jiang Cheng from the internet industry." After saying that, he took out the business cards he had prepared and gave them to Zhu Zheng, Young Master Peng, Young Master Du, Lin Fan, Manager Li, and Xuan, and the others. To Jiang Cheng, anyone who could eat with Lin Fan must have an extraordinary status. Therefore, his attitude was always very respectful. When the people standing behind Jiang Cheng saw this, they also handed over their business cards and introduced themselves. I'm Zheng Wangxiang from Qingzhou Information. I'm Liu Kui from Aisheng Technology. I'm Wang Handong from Jiahu Software. Jiang Cheng was extremely excited when he saw Lin Fan accept his name card. He raised his glass and said, "This toast is to you." After saying that, he directly downed the contents of the glass in one gulp. Then he poured himself another glass of Maodai and said, "This glass is for everyone." He drank another full glass. Zheng Wangxiang and the others behind him did not dare to hesitate at all. They drank the contents in their glasses one after another and said, "To everyone." Even though Jiang Cheng wished he could stay with Lin Fan forever, he knew that going too far was as bad as not being able to do enough. If Lin Fan was annoyed by this, then it would be too late for regrets. Therefore Jiang Cheng said, "I won't disturb you anymore." After saying that, he and the others slowly retreated. It was also at this moment that young Master Pang, young Master Du, Manager Li, and the others finally recovered from their doubts. They all lowered their heads to look at the business cards. It did not matter if they had not taken a look, but after they did, their eyes widened. Jiang Cheng, the CEO of Usual Network. Zheng Wangxiang, the CEO of Qingzhou Information. The CEO of Aisheng Technology, Liu Kui. Wang Handong, the CEO of Jiahu Software. The group of people just now were all the presidents of various companies. Young Master Du pointed at a business card and shouted, F***CK, I know Aisheng Technology. I heard that their company is about to be listed on the A-share market. They were a company that was about to be listed on the A-share market. Just this sentence alone easily showed the strength of Aisheng Technology. Qingzhou Information seems to have thousands of employees, young Master Pang shouted. Also, the super popular games from last year seem to have been developed by them. The two of them shouted repeatedly, their faces filled with surprise. These companies were all very large, and their chairman, they actually came to their private room to give a toast. This, it had completely exceeded their imagination. One had to know. Even their fathers were not qualified to be sitting in this position. They would even toast the chairman instead. What was going on now? Young Master Pang and young Master Du looked at each other and then turned to look at Zhu Zheng. Brother Zhu Zheng, could it be that your Datong company has reached a close cooperation with little Tanuki or Penguin? Young Master Pang could not help but ask. It was no wonder that they were so suspicious. Usual Network, Qingzhou Information, Aisheng Technology Company, Jiahu Software, these were all internet companies. The people who could make the chairman of these internet companies personally curry favor could only be large internet companies or companies related to them. Young Master Du and young Master Pang knew about their family's situation, which was why they suspected Zhu Zheng's family. After all, they had already suspected that Zhu Zheng had found a strong backer. Otherwise, the general manager of the Imperial Hotel would not have personally served them. Zhu Zheng looked at young Master Du and young Master Pang's excited and worshipful expressions. He was completely smug and believed it. That was right. It must be that his family had reached a close cooperation with super giants such as Little Tanuki and Penguin. Therefore, the chairman of those internet companies came over to toast him after learning from the general manager of the Imperial Hotel that he was eating in this private room. Zhu Zheng grinned. A while ago, my dad did say that he wanted to work with some big companies, but I didn't ask which companies they were. Zhu Zheng said. Young Master Du and young Master Pang's faces immediately revealed an expression that seemed to say, as expected. Brother Zhu Zheng, you have to take care of me in the future, young Master Du said. Brother Zhu Zheng, please take care of me, young Master Pang said. No problem, Zhu Zheng laughed. Young Master Du and young Master Pang were very happy when they heard this. Then they raised their glasses and said, Brother Zhu Zheng, let me toast you. Compared to young Master Du and young Master Pang's excitement, Manager Li's face was filled with confusion. Zhu Zheng's family's Datong company was a snack company. Its scale was only average and its market value was only slightly more than 100 million. The companies owned by that group of people were all very large in scale. Their market value was probably in the hundreds of millions or billions. It might even be more than billions. Why would a group of big bosses come personally to toast Zhu Zheng? Even if Zhu Zheng went to toast them, they might not respond. As for Zhu Zheng's family's Datong company having a deep partnership with little tanuki or penguin, that was even more impossible. When had one ever heard of an elephant and an ant becoming good friends? Was that not a joke? They were not on the same level at all right. Then Manager Li could not help but slowly recall the scene when the group of directors came in. Chairman Jiang Cheng, who was standing at the front, seemed to have been talking to the left. Zhu Zheng was on the right, and the person on the left was. Manager Li's gaze landed on Lin Fan, and his expression changed. It had to be said that Manager Li was indeed someone who had been in the workplace for many years. His observation and analysis skills were far superior to ordinary people. After a while, Manager Li hesitated and said, "Cough, cough, I've been forgetting to ask, you are?" Lin Fan put his chopsticks aside and replied casually, "I'm Lil Xuan's boyfriend, Lin Fan." "So you're Mr. Lin, I wonder what kind of job you do," Manager Li asked. "I drive on Dai Dai," Lin Fan said. Zhu Zhang, young Master Du, and young Master Pang heard their conversation. Instantly, Zhu Zhang looked at Lin Fan with disdain. Manager Li was stunned by Lin Fan's reply. "Dai Dai." Could it be that this rich second-generation heir was pretending to be low-key? Manager Li thought for a moment and said, "So, you're Lil Xuan's boyfriend. I wonder what your parents do for a living." Hearing this, and Xuan pricked up her ears. She seemed to be curious about this question as well. "They run a small clothing store in Qing City," Lin Fan said. Manager Li heard Lin Fan's normal reply and was stunned. From Lin Fan's expression, it did not seem like he was lying. In other words, he was really just an ordinary driver with no big background. The chairman really did come because of Zhu Zhang. Perhaps Datong Company really got their hands on an incredible opportunity. Zhu Zheng saw that Manager Li was chatting with Lin Fan. He frowned and asked, "Why are you fond of him, Manager Li?" Manager Li could easily hear the unhappiness in Zhu Zheng's tone. He shifted his eyes and said obsequiously, "Yeah, I think Lin Fan is tall and strong. He's very suitable to be a security guard in our company." Now that Manager Li had confirmed Lin Fan's identity, he sided with Zhu Zheng without any hesitation. "Security guard? Haha, needless to say, this job is very suitable for him. Lin Fan, when the time comes, I'll ask their company's CEO to give you a salary of 5,000 yuan. How about it? It's a higher salary than what you're getting now, no?" Zhu Zheng laughed. Lin Fan glanced at the two of them and said calmly, "I think you guys are more suitable to be security guards." "Ha ha ha, is that so? But I'm afraid I won't have this chance in my life." Zhu Zheng laughed like he had just heard the biggest joke in the world. Eh? On the other hand, Jiang Cheng led the other chairmen out of VIP Room 8 and returned to their own private room. At this moment, the short and fat Zhang Wengxiang could not help but ask, "President Jiang, who exactly is the person we just toasted?" All the chairmen in the private room pricked up their ears. Obviously, they were also very curious about this. The people in VIP Room 8 were all too young. The only person who was slightly older looked like an ordinary manager. When Jiang Cheng heard Zhang Wengxiang's question, he could not help but think of the scene at the internet conference where Chairman De Ma and Chairman Xiao Ma personally came down from the stage to shake hands with Lin Fan and greet him. At the same time, he recalled the scene of Lin Fan accepting his name card. He was so excited that his heart was beating faster. What if? If Lin Fan was interested in him, it would be a huge opportunity for him. "You all attended the internet conference in Jiangbei, didn't you?" Jiang Cheng asked excitedly. "We did," all the chairmen answered. The confusion on their faces deepened. What did those young people have to do with the internet conference? Then, do you remember when Chairman De Ma and Chairman Xiao Ma were speaking on stage? They suddenly stepped down to welcome a young man and took the initiative to shake his hand, Jiang Cheng asked. The chairmen seemed to have thought of something. Their pupils constricted slightly as they said in surprise, "You mean that Mr. Lin in the white casual outfit earlier is that young man?" Jiang Cheng nodded. Yes. All the chairmen gasped when they heard this. They knew very well what it meant for top-notch big shots like Chairman De Ma and Chairman Zhao Ma to personally welcome someone. However, they were sitting quite far away, so they did not see Lin Fan's appearance clearly. However, that did not mean that they did not pay attention to Lin Fan. On the contrary, after the internet conference, they had been asking about Lin Fan. Furthermore, some people knew that because of Lin Fan, there was an unprecedented gathering of a group of internet big shots like Chairman De Ma, Chairman Zhao Ma, the chairman of Weibo, the chairman of Buying, and the chairman of Hungary. Some people even called it a trillion-dollar gathering. All of this showed that Lin Fan's status was extraordinary. He was definitely a super big shot. As for themselves, just now they gave this big shot, they toasted and handed over their name cards. Just thinking about it, the chairmen were excited. VIP Room 8. Zhu Zheng, Young Master Du, Young Master Peng, Manager Li and the others chatted as they ate, occasionally letting out a hearty laughter. After young Master Peng finished the last drop of red wine, he smacked his lips and praised again, as expected of the best red wine in the Imperial Hotel. Young Master Peng likes it, so let's have another bottle, Zhu Zheng smiled. After saying that, he turned to press the service button. After a while, General Manager Wang Fengyi walked in. Is there anything you need? Wang Fengyi smiled as he looked at Lin Fan. Give me another bottle of this red wine. Zhu Zheng waved his hand. His thinking was simple. A bottle of red wine was worth just 40,000 to 50,000 yuan. The dishes on the table were estimated to be only 10,000 to 20,000 yuan. It was still far from reaching the point where the minimum expenditure was 88,888 yuan. A bottle of the same red wine would only bring up the cost to a little more than 100,000 yuan. In addition, his family had already reached a close cooperation with giant companies such as Penguin and Little Tanuki. Buying an extra bottle of wine was nothing at all. When Wang Fengyi heard this, a strange expression appeared on his face. He asked, another bottle of red wine. That's right, Zhu Zheng replied. After Wang Fengyi received confirmation, he finally nodded and said, all right. After a while, a bottle of the same red wine was brought in by the waiter. Then he carefully poured it into the decanter. After a round of drinking, Zhu Zheng, Young Master Peng, Young Master Du, Manager Li and the others walked out. During this time, Zhu Zheng even deliberately glanced at Lin Fan from the corner of his eye. Lin Fan seemed to be a little listless as he followed behind him. Kid, now you know the difference between us, right? Ding! The elevator went down quickly. After a soft sound, it slowly opened. Then Zhu Zheng took the lead and strode toward the cashier in the lobby. The next moment, his eyes fell on a middle-aged man in a black suit in the hall. Dad, Zhu Zheng exclaimed in surprise. Right now, the thing he wanted to do the most was to hurry home and ask his father who De Tong Company was working with. He did not expect to meet his father before he even reached home. Zhu Daqian was surprised to see his son here. One had to know. This was the Imperial Hotel, and the expenses were very high. Even Zhu Daqian would only choose the Imperial Hotel for important business events. Why are you here? Daqian Zhu asked. Zhu Zheng said, I'm treating a few friends to a meal. Dad, I have something to ask you. Is our family going to start working with some big companies? Zhu Daqian thought of the people he invited for today's dinner and nodded slowly. That's possible. Ha ha ha, really? Zhu Zheng shouted excitedly. Is it Little Tanuki or Penguin? Young Master Du, Young Master Peng, Manager Li and the others who were standing at the side also revealed a touch of excitement and pricked up their ears. Zhu Daqian frowned. Little Tanuki, Penguin, our family isn't an internet company. There was still something he did not say in his heart. How could these giant companies cooperate with a small company like theirs? Zhu Zheng was stunned. No. Then why would the general manager of the Imperial Hotel personally serve him? Why would the chairman of those internet companies come over to toast him? Brother Lin Fan. At this moment, a surprised voice suddenly sounded from afar. Then, a group of men and women in suits and leather shoes who exuded an extraordinary aura quickly walked over from afar. Liu Yuheng, the young master of Liu Pharmaceuticals, Zhang Zhou, the chairman of Xiao Wu Wholesale City, manager Li, and Song Ping, the chairman of Nxuan's company, were all among them. The surprised voice came from Liu Yuheng. Young Master Liu, Chairman Zhang, hello, Zhu Daqiang said respectfully. Hello, Chairman Song, manager Li and Nxuan hurriedly said. When Song Ping saw the two of them, he could not help but reveal a hint of surprise. However, he ignored the two of them. It was because he still had more important things to do. That was to accompany the people around him. They were extremely important to the company. Liu Yuheng did not even look at Zhu Daqiang. He walked up to Lin Fan and said happily, well, we sure are fated. We just met in Qing City a while ago, and now we meet again in Jiangbei, ha ha ha. As he spoke, Liu Yuheng placed his hand on Lin Fan's shoulder. Zhang Zhou, the chairman of Xiao Wu Wholesale City, said respectfully, hello, Mr. Lin. Instantly, everyone's attention fell on Lin Fan. Zhu Zheng, young Master Peng, young Master Du, manager Li, and the others had a bad feeling. You, who exactly are you? Zhu Zheng could not help but ask. Young Master Zhu, you're really forgetful. Am I not just a driver? Oh, I forgot that you and manager Li agreed that I'm the most suitable person to be a security guard. Everyone present was smart. How could they not understand the meaning behind Lin Fan's words? Immediately, Zhang Zhou, Liu Yuheng, Zhu Daqiang, Song Ping, and the others turned their gazes to Zhu Zheng and manager Li. The atmosphere at the scene suddenly became extremely heavy. In Brother Lin Fan's hotel, you said that Brother Lin Fan is the most suitable to be a security guard, Liu Yuheng asked coldly. Brother Lin Fan, I'm afraid you've never experienced something like this before, have you? Hearing this, Zhu Daqiang, Song Ping, Zhu Zheng, young Master Peng, young Master Du, and the others felt their hearts pounding. At Brother Lin Fan's hotel. In other words, the Imperial Hotel was at Lin Fan's. As if to verify everyone's guess, the general manager of the Imperial Hotel, Wang Fengyi, walked over from afar and said respectfully, hello, Mr. Lin. It was also at this moment that the elevator door opened. Jiang Cheng, the chairman of Usual Network, Zheng Wenxiang, the chairman of Qingzhou Information, and the other people who had gone to VIP Room 8 to toast strolled out. When they saw Lin Fan in the distance, they quickened their pace. Greetings, Mr. Lin. At this moment, Zhu Zheng, manager Li, young Master Peng, young Master Du, and the others finally understood. They finally understood why the general manager of the Imperial Hotel had personally served everyone. That was because Lin Fan was the owner of the Imperial Hotel. They also understood why the group of chairmen had come to the private room to toast them. It was because Lin Fan had an extraordinary status. It was not Zhu Zheng's Datong company at all. Zhu Daqiang saw that his son had provoked such a terrifying big shot and his entire body trembled in anger. He raised his hand and slapped Zhu Zheng's face. He shouted, hurry up and apologize to Mr. Lin. Apologize, are we going bankrupt? This slap was very loud and reverberated in the lobby of the Imperial Hotel. The left side of Zhu Zheng's face quickly turned red and swollen. It was this slap that made Zhu Zheng realize that he had offended someone he should not have. Hence Zhu Zheng said in a panic, yes, I'm sorry, Lin, Mr. Lin. Song Ping, who had been standing at the side without saying a word, shouted in a low voice, Li Xing, quickly apologized to Mr. Lin. At this moment, how much did Song Ping wish that Li Xing was his son? If that was the case, he could also slap Li Xing's face to vent his anger. Manager Li was so frightened that his entire body trembled. A layer of cold sweat instantly seeped out of his forehead as he stuttered, Lin, Mr. Lin, I'm sorry. At this moment, other than panic, Manager Li also felt endless regret. He had clearly noticed that Jiang Cheng was toasting Lin Fan. Why did he have to mock Lin Fan? Lin Fan did not care about the thoughts of the two of them at all. You guys still want to eat, right? He said casually. I've already finished eating, so I'll be leaving first. Then he turned to Nxuan, who was completely stunned. He said, let's go. And Xuan replied stiffly. Then, like a wooden puppet, she followed Lin Fan out. After Lin Fan left, the atmosphere in the Imperial Hotel became even more depressing. Zhu Daqiang's throat squirmed and he finally opened his mouth to say, why don't we go to the private room to eat first? Eat ha! Liu Yuheng laughed coldly and turned to leave. Xiao Wu Wholesale City's chairman, Zhang Zhou, and a large group of people followed closely behind. Song Ping watched as everyone left, his entire body trembling with anger. His company was at an important stage now. How much effort did he put in to have today's dinner so that the company had a chance? In the end, it was all gone now. Li Xing, from now on, you're no longer the manager of the company. You're fired, he shouted sternly. Li Xing's face instantly turned pale. He had been in the company for many years before he got his current position. It was also this job that allowed Li Xing to support his mortgage and car loans. Now it was gone. Li Xing said anxiously, "See, Chairman, please give me another chance." However, Song Ping ignored him and strode out. Zhu Daqiang coldly glanced at Zhu Zhang, who was drooping his head. If he could, he would have done the same as Song Ping and abandoned Zhu Zhang. However, no. He could not do that because Zhu Zhang was his son. His only son. Zhu Daqiang took a deep breath and said, "You only know how to cause trouble. Hurry up and go home." "Okay, Dad," Zhu Zhang replied. At this moment, Wang Fengyi suddenly said, "I'm sorry you can't leave yet." Oh, Zhu Daqiang could not help but feel puzzled. "Your son hasn't paid yet," said Wang Fengyi. "How much is it?" Zhu Zhang asked in a low voice. As he spoke, he was about to take out his phone. "It's a total of 2,352,168 yuan, Wang Fengyi said. How much?" Zhu Zhang's body trembled as he asked. Wang Fengyi took out the bill and said, "The Australian lobster is 3,888 yuan, the iced bird's nest is 488 yuan, drinks are 2,216,880 yuan. Why are the drinks so expensive? I only drank a few bottles of Maotai and 2 bottles of red wine," Zhu Zhang shouted. "Because you ordered 2 bottles of our best 1945 Chateau Margaux red wine," Wang Fengyi said. "Wasteful," Zhu Daqiang shouted, then he raised his hand and slapped Zhu Zhang's face again. Immediately, the right side of Zhu Zhang's face turned red and swollen. Naturally, Lin Fan had no idea what was happening in the Imperial Hotel. He drove the Santana and soon arrived at a dilapidated neighborhood. Lin Fan looked at the familiar buildings in the district and had a strange expression on his face. That was because Lin Fan had lived here before he got the system. He could still clearly remember how annoying his landlady, Wang Sikin, was. And Xuan seemed to have just recovered from the incident at the Imperial Hotel at this time. She said softly, "Thank you for today." Lin Fan said casually, "You're welcome, it's just a small matter." And Xuan opened her cherry-like mouth again, as if she wanted to say something. However, she could not say it out loud in the end and walked toward the dilapidated building. Lin Fan did not care too much about it, but it seemed like he felt that the car was a little stuffy. Hence he got out of the driver's seat and took 2 deep breaths. Then Lin Fan turned his attention to the mission system. Mission complete 5 special orders, reward 5 golden packets, progress 2-5. Seeing this, Lin Fan's lips curled up as he muttered in his heart, as expected the order just now was also a special order. Lin Fan, at this moment an ear-piercing sound came from behind. Even though Lin Fan had not turned around, he knew the owner of this voice. It was his former landlady, Wang Sikin. "Didn't you drive a car worth tens of millions a while ago?" Wang Sikin sneered. "Why is it a Santana now? By the way, why did you come to our neighborhood? Why do you want to rent a house again? We still have an empty house, but the price is 100 yuan a month more than before." At this moment, Wang Sikin could be said to be very carefree. Back then, when Wang Sikin saw Lin Fan driving a sports car worth tens of millions and a pile of property ownership certificates, she was so envious and jealous that she could not sleep. Today, she saw Lin Fan drive a Santana to the entrance of the residential area. The envy and jealousy she had in the past immediately disappeared like smoke. What replaced it was schadenfreude. Honk. Before Lin Fan could say anything, a honk sounded from not far away. Then a BMW 530 Li stopped steadily beside them. Han Tian walked over with her long white legs and said happily, "I thought I was seeing things, so it's really you, Lin Fan." When she called out Lin Fan's name, her voice became sweeter. "I was planning to look for you tomorrow, I didn't expect to meet you today." "You're looking for me?" Lin Fan asked curiously. "Yes, we've already collected the rent for the 132 units in Washington Palace and the 1,058 units in Zhenhu Yuding that you rented out through Lianjia. I've made a form with the specific details. If there's no problem, I can get the finance department to transfer the money to you." As soon as she said this, Wang Sikin, who was standing at the side, immediately opened her mouth wide and stood rooted to the ground. "If you struggle to reach a cooperate, say you know me." 132 houses in Washington Palace. Washington Palace was the best school district in Jiangbei. The houses there were priced at 50,000 yuan per square meter and he had 132 houses. How much did they cost? Just the rent alone was definitely a large sum of money. As for Zhenhu Yuding, it was a famous mansion area in Jiangbei. Each unit was worth at least 5 million yuan, 1,058 units. How much was that? How much could he get from collecting rent? Wang Sikin's brain went completely blank. As if to answer Wang Sikin's question, Han Tian continued, "The 3 months' rent of Washington Palace is 1,298,800 yuan. The 3 months' rent of Zhenhu Yuding is 10,212,880 yuan." As Han Tian spoke, she took out a stack of documents from the car. Hearing this, Wang Sikin found it difficult to breathe. 1.29 million, 10.21 million. She had never seen so much money in her life, and this was only 3 months of rent that Lin Fan collected. Lin Fan did not look at the document. "Why do we need to look at this? It's getting late, how about having some supper?" Lin Fan did not care about this bit of money at all. After all, the money he earned every day when he woke up was more than the rent for the past 3 months. Seeing how much Lin Fan believed her, Han Tian's heart was filled with sweetness. She smiled and said, "Sure." Then the two of them ignored Wang Sikin, who was standing at the side like a stone, and got into their respective cars. They stepped on the accelerator and sped off into the distance. The two of them did not choose a high-end restaurant for supper. Instead, they came to Han Tian's house at her invitation. Han Tian's house was very clean and tidy. The white-painted walls and the black-painted door frame made the whole house look modern and simple. When they got home, she personally cooked for Lin Fan. Then she prepared a plate of fresh fruits. Lin Fan played with the wet grapes and said, "Have you ever eaten imported fruits?" Imported fruits? Han Tian was stunned. She did not understand why Lin Fan would ask this. Lin Fan smiled and said, "You'll have the chance to try it today." After saying that, he put the grape into his mouth and moved closer to Han Tian. Oh. Asterisk 3. Outside the curtain, the rain was falling and the spring was waning. It was a sleepless night. Lin Fan ate his breakfast slowly and then went downstairs to start his relaxed life. He had only opened Dai for a short while when he received an order. It was just an ordinary office worker. After he got into the car and gave Lin Fan the address, he quietly played with his phone. As Lin Fan expected, this was not a special order. Then Lin Fan started to drive leisurely on the wide road. Ding! At this moment his phone vibrated slightly, and another order appeared. Lin Fan turned the steering wheel and soon arrived at the location. At this moment 2 men were waiting at the side. When Lin Fan caught sight of them, he was stunned for a moment. That was because the younger man was someone Lin Fan knew. It was his high school classmate whom he had not seen for a long time, Liu Gonglu. In high school, Lin Fan and Liu Gonglu even sat at the same table for a short period of time. "Liu Gonglu," Lin Fan shouted. Liu Gonglu did not notice Lin Fan at first. At this moment, after hearing the voice, he also cried out in surprise, "Lin Fan, haha, why is it you? we haven't seen each other for a long time. Yeah, I haven't seen you since we graduated from high school, Lin Fan said. By the way, didn't I hear that you're studying at Jiangbei University? Why are you driving on Dai Dai now? Liu Gonglu asked. I'm just driving it for fun, said Lin Fan. Lin Fan was not spouting nonsense. On the one hand, he was indeed doing it to complete the mission. On the other hand, he did it for fun. Especially after the incident of pretending to be someone's boyfriend yesterday, Lin Fan felt that it was even more interesting. However, Lin Fan's words had another meaning in Liu Gonglu's ears. A while ago, Liu Gonglu had heard from his classmates that Lin Fan was the most well-hidden second-generation heir in his class and that he was studying at Jiangbei University. Now it seemed that this matter was not true. No wonder Liu Gonglu thought so. After all, which university student would come out and drive on Dai Dai? Moreover, it was during class time. As for being a rich second-generation heir, that was even more impossible. That was right. There were indeed some rich second-generation heirs who drove on Dai Dai to experience life. In reality, they usually drove Porsches, Bentleys, and other luxury cars. How was that experiencing life? It was simply to show off and get girls. Which rich second-generation heir would drive a Santana? However, Liu Gonglu did not dwell on this matter. He said, during the new year, I saw in the group that the form teacher was hospitalized. Unfortunately, I was still working outside the city at that time. I wonder if the form teacher is feeling better. Don't worry, the form teacher is fine. He was discharged a while ago, Lin Fan said. That's great, said Liu Gonglu with a sigh of relief. At this moment, a man in a black suit who was also sitting in the car frowned and said, all right, you guys can talk later. Now hurry up and drive. We still have important things to do later. Liu Gonglu's figure turned solemn. Only then did he remember that his leader was sitting beside him. He quickly said, yes, Manager Zhao. Lin Fan did not say anything else. He stepped on the accelerator and sped forward. The journey was light and smooth. Not long after, a towering building appeared in front of them. Lin Fan was extremely familiar with this building. This was because this was the Feiyang building where Flower Stem was located. When Manager Zhao and Liu Gonglu saw Feiyang building, they straightened their clothes and their expressions became extremely solemn. When the two of them were about to get out of the car, Lin Fan asked, Liu Gonglu, why are you going to Feiyang building? We're here to fight for a cooperation with Flower Stem, Liu Gonglu said. Lin Fan's face revealed a strange expression, fighting for cooperation with Flower Stem. One had to know. Lin Fan was the biggest shareholder of Flower Stem. It was basically his own company. Lin Fan said, if you're struggling, just say that you know me. After all, Liu Gonglu used to be a good classmate. From the conversation just now, he realized that he was still the same as before, a good person. Therefore, it was not a big deal to help him a little. Liu Gonglu was slightly stunned. If he could not get Flower Stem to cooperate, he could say that he knew Lin Fan. Why did Lin Fan say this? At this moment, Manager Zhao, who was walking in front, said angrily, Liu Gonglu, what are you still standing there for? It's almost the appointed time. Do you still want to do business? Liu Gonglu's heart tightened. He nodded at Lin Fan and quickly caught up to Manager Zhao. Liu Gonglu and Manager Zhao practically jogged all the way into Feiyang building. Then they quickly took the elevator and went straight to the main entrance of Flower Stem. The beautiful woman sitting at the front desk smiled and said, may I ask what you need? Manager Zhao said, hello, I'm Zhao Heibo from King Kong Company. We have an appointment with your company's director today to discuss the matter of Flower Stem's channel. The receptionist looked at the record on the computer and said, Mr. Zhao, director has arranged for you to meet in conference room 2. This way, please. After saying that, she walked in front and led Manager Zhao and Liu Gonglu inside. Sorry to trouble you, said Zhao Heibo. Krieg. When he pushed open the door of the meeting room, there was already someone sitting inside. Mr. Zhao, please wait a moment, director will be here soon, the receptionist said. All right, Zhao Heibo said. After the receptionist left, the middle-aged man who was already sitting inside smiled and said, "Why, if it isn't Manager Zhao from King Kong Company, I just finished talking to Director and you came over. The timing is quite accurate." Zhao Heibo's expression became a little ugly when he heard this. He said, "Did you talk to Director?" The middle-aged man was Chen Meng, the department manager of Runfeng Company. Runfeng Company and King Kong Company had always had a strong competitive relationship. Chen Meng's purpose for coming to Flower Stem was self-evident. "Of course I have," Chen Meng smiled proudly. "Moreover, Director is very satisfied with our Runfeng Company." Instantly, Zhao Heibo's expression turned even uglier. Creak. At this moment, the door of conference room 2 was slowly pushed open. A middle-aged man of medium build strode in. Zhao Heibo, Chen Meng, and Liu Gonglu's hearts suddenly tightened. They said in unison, "Hello, Director." If it was a year ago, no, 3 months ago. When they saw Director, they would at most treat him as an equal. How could they be so respectful like now? On the contrary, it was Director who should curry favor with them. This was because Runfeng Company and King Kong Company were even larger than Flower Stem back then. In addition to the fact that Runfeng Company and King Kong Company were handling the sales channels and promotions, Director still had to work hard to build good relationships with Zhao Heibo, Chen Meng, and the others. However, in just 3 months, the status of Flower Stem had changed drastically. Flower Stem's perfume and essence, especially the essence, were too popular. As long as their products entered the market, they would be sold out in an instant. As a result, the scale of Flower Stem expanded rapidly, and the distribution companies scrambled to reach a partnership with Flower Stem. That was because possessing Flower Stem meant possessing popularity and wealth. "Hello everyone," Director nodded. Then, Director looked at his watch and said, "I have a meeting in about 10 minutes. If it's possible, Manager Zhao, you'd better tell me the details of your company's cooperation in 10 minutes. "All right," Zhao Heibo quickly said. Then Zhao Heibo took out a stack of information and quickly explained. About 10 minutes later, Director said, "Manager Zhao, I have to say something first. Before you came, I had already reached a verbal agreement with Runfeng Company. Your company's conditions are not bad. However, I'm not convinced that I should give up my initial plan and cooperate with you guys instead. Therefore, I can only apologize." After Director finished speaking, he stood up and walked out. When Zhao Heibo heard this, his face turned slightly pale. Flower Stem had chosen to go with Runfeng Company. This was definitely the worst news for King Kong Company. Chen Meng, on the other hand, smiled casually and said, "Hee, it seems that our Runfeng Company is quite lucky." Then he walked out. Zhao Heibo was not willing to give up easily. He hurriedly chased after him and said, Director, K." However, Director ignored him. Liu Gonglu said carefully, "Manager Zhao, what should we do now?" "What should we do? What do you think we should do? I've already told you that today's meeting is very important. You must be prepared," Zhao Heibo shouted. "But what did you do? You were actually chatting in the car." Liu Gonglu knew that Manager Zhao was in a fit of anger. Moreover, he was indeed in the wrong. Therefore, he could only lower his head and did not dare to speak at all. At this moment, Chen Meng walked out of the office with a stack of documents and a smile on his face. "Manager Zhao, I've already received the contract. Now I'll bring it back to the company to get it stamped and signed. Then our Runfeng will be able to obtain a large amount of Flower Stem's essence." Chen Meng smiled smugly. "Manager Zhao, your business skills are not bad. What do you think? Would you like to consider coming to work at Runfeng?" "We can't work with Flower Stem this year, but next year," Zhao Heibo grunted, "things might change." "Next year, haha, Manager Zhao, do you think you can get the contract by then? Don't deceive yourself," Chen Meng sneered. In fact, Zhao Heibo himself did not believe his words. It could only be considered something he said out of anger. However, Zhao Heibo's words suddenly reminded Liu Gonglu. At this moment, Lin Fan's words suddenly echoed in Liu Gonglu's mind. "If you struggle to reach a cooperation, just say that you know me." At the same time, Liu Gonglu thought about how he had learned from his classmates that Lin Fan was a well-hidden rich second generation. Finally, Liu Gonglu mustered up his courage and said in a louder voice, I know Lin Fan. When Zhao Hebo heard Liu Gonglu's words, he quickly thought of the young man who drove them here not long ago and the conversation between the two. He immediately felt angry. In the past, I thought Liu Gonglu was smart and capable. Now it seems that he's simply an idiot. Does he really think that just by mentioning Lin Fan, Flower Stem would choose to work with us? What a joke. What if the company thinks he's making a scene and chases us out? Thinking of this, Zhao Hebo was ready to scold Liu Gonglu. However, before he could open his mouth, a series of brisk footsteps sounded in the distance and a faint fragrance drifted over. Then a pleasant voice sounded from the side, you know Lin Fan. Zhao Hebo, Liu Gonglu, and Chen Meng turned around to look. In the next moment, the three of them were stunned. The person who said this was not someone else, it was Chu Yunyu, the president of Flower Stem. 242 regional agent, treat him to dinner. Even when Flower Stem was not as popular as it was now, Zhao Hebo, Chen Meng, Liu Gonglu, and the others had never come into close contact with Chu Yunyu like today. Chu Yunyu was a famous beauty in the cosmetics industry. Ever since Flower Stem became popular in Jiangbei, Jiang province, and even the whole country, it was even harder for Zhao Hebo and the others to get in touch with Chu Yunyu. They did not expect to get so close to her today. Chu Yunyu looked at the three people who were in a daze. Finally, her gaze fell on Liu Gonglu and she asked again, you know Lin Fan. At this moment, Liu Gonglu slowly came back to his senses and stammered, yes, he's my former classmate. Chu Yunyu nodded and looked at Liu Gonglu with a gentler gaze. Why did you come to our company today? Liu Gonglu hesitated and said, I am Liu Gonglu from King Kong Company. Our company wants to cooperate with Flower Stem. All right, Chu Yunyu opened her almond-shaped mouth and said. This sudden word caused the atmosphere to turn heavy. At the same time, Liu Gonglu was at a loss. He stuttered, CC Chairman Chu, you mean? Didn't you just say that King Kong Company wants to cooperate with our Flower Stem? I agree. If I remember correctly, other than Jiangbei, your King Kong Company also mainly does business in the southern part of the country, right? How about this? Our Flower Stem and King Kong will sign a contract stating that King Kong will be our sole agent in the southern Xia region. What do you think? Sole agent. In other words, in the entire southern Xia region, only King Kong Company could get their perfume, essence, and other products of Flower Stem and sell them through channels. If other companies also wanted to sell Flower Stem's products, they would have to purchase from King Kong Company and become their second-tier distribution company. Chu Yunyu saw that Liu Gonglu did not reply, so she frowned and said, you don't agree. Before Liu Gonglu could reply, Zhao Hebo, who was beside him, quickly said, yes, our King Kong Company is willing. They were willing. Not only were they willing, but they were extremely willing. This was simply like a pie falling from the sky. In fact, Zhao Hebo came today only to get an ordinary sales channel. As for being the sole agent of a certain area, he had never even thought about it. Now, they had directly become the sole agent of the southern Xia region. The southern Xia region was the headquarters of King Kong Company. It had a vast territory and unlimited market potential. At this moment, Chen Meng, who had been in a daze, said, President Chu, Director, and I have already reached an agreement on the distribution channel between Runfeng Company and Flower Stem in the southern Xia region. As Chen Meng spoke, he took out the contract that he had just obtained not long ago. Have both parties already sealed and signed the contract? Chu Yunyu frowned slightly. When I bring the contract back, we'll stamp and sign it, Chen Meng said. That means you haven't? Chu Yunyu said, you don't have to sign the contract with us. In the future, if you want to sell through channels, you can just sign the contract with King Kong Company. Sign a contract with King Kong Company. Would they not become a secondary channel for King Kong Company then? Chen Meng's eyes widened in disbelief. Why? Chu Yunyu obviously did not intend to answer him. She turned to Director K, who had just walked out of the office, and said, Director K, for the distribution contract agreement, you and Liu Gonglu should come to an agreement. Regarding the contract, both King Kong Company and Flower Stem had their own template. Now they only needed to discuss the specific details. After a while, the sole agent contract for the southern Xia region was given to King Kong Company. After Zhao Hebo walked out of Feiyang building, his face was full of smiles. At this moment, he found Liu Gonglu very pleasing to the eye. Zhao Hebo gently patted Liu Gonglu's shoulder and said, "All along, I knew you were a smart and capable person. You really didn't disappoint me." His tone was so resolute that it was as if he had completely forgotten that he had called Liu Gonglu an idiot. It was the first time Liu Gonglu was praised like this. He scratched the back of his head in embarrassment. "Oh right, who exactly is Lin Fan?" Zhao Hebo asked again. After saying that, he looked at Liu Gonglu with anticipation. Just the mention of the name had given King Kong Company such a good contract. It was hard to imagine. "Lin Fan is my former classmate. In the past, he was considered relatively ordinary in our class. As for the specifics, I don't know," Liu Gonglu said. Zhao Hebo thought for a moment and said, "No matter what, Lin Fan has helped us a lot. Give him a call to thank him first. It would be best if you can treat him to a meal." Liu Gonglu nodded repeatedly, took out his phone and made a call. After Lin Fan returned to the Santana, he did not continue to take orders. Instead, he focused on the mission system. Mission complete 5 special orders, reward 5 golden packets, progress 3-5. Seeing this, the corners of Lin Fan's lips curled up slightly as he smiled. "I didn't expect that I would be able to get closer to getting golden packets after sending off an old classmate. I just have to complete 2 more orders and I can get golden packets." At this moment, Lin Fan's phone rang. "Lin Fan, are you free later? Can we have lunch together?" As soon as the call was connected, Liu Gonglu's voice came from the other end. "Okay," Lin Fan replied. After all, they were both former classmates, so having a meal together was nothing. Moreover, Liu Gonglu had helped him just now. "How about we meet at the Imperial Hotel?" Liu Gonglu said. When Lin Fan heard this, a weird look appeared on his face. He had just gone to the Imperial Hotel for dinner yesterday. Today he was going over again. Was he going to treat the Imperial Hotel as a canteen? However, thinking back to the delicacies in the Imperial Hotel, Lin Fan said, "Sure, let's meet at the Imperial Hotel." After hanging up the phone, Lin Fan turned the car around in front of him. Then, he continued to drive forward leisurely. When Lin Fan arrived at the Imperial Hotel, Liu Gonglu and Zhao Hebo were already waiting in the lobby. Zhao Hebo said in a very enthusiastic tone, "Hello, Mr. Lin." Lin Fan casually said, "Hello. Mr. Lin, this way please, we've already booked a table." As Zhao Hebo spoke, he brought Lin Fan to the main hall on the first floor. It was a table by the window. This seating arrangement was obviously not comparable to yesterday's VIP room 8. However, Lin Fan did not care about where he ate. Therefore, he sat down as well. "Thank you, it's good for the company." "Thank you, readers." Zhao Hebo had already ordered the dishes. After Lin Fan sat down, fragrant dishes were served. Although the dishes in front of him were not as sumptuous as yesterday, they still looked very exquisite. Lin Fan took a light whiff of the fragrance and he started to drool. "Liu Gonglu often mentioned you in front of me. Unfortunately, I never had the chance to meet you," Zhao Hebo said. "In the morning, because I was in a hurry to go to Flower Stem for the discussion, I didn't have time to chat with you. It has made me feel a little regretful. Now we finally have a chance." Lin Fan glanced at Liu Gonglu, who had his head lowered. He knew that Zhao Hebo was saying some pretty words. Rather, he was trying to please him. He had roughly guessed the reason why the other party was like this. However, Lin Fan did not point it out. He smiled and said, "Manager Zhao, you're too polite." "This isn't being polite, I'm speaking from the bottom of my heart." As Zhao Hebo spoke, he raised his wine glass and said, "Here, let me toast to Mr. Lin first." Then he directly drank the wine in his glass in one gulp. Lin Fan and Liu Gonglu also drank a glass. When Zhao Hebo saw this, he became even happier and said, "Speaking of the negotiation with Flower Stem, it's all thanks to you. Originally, it might have been difficult for our King Kong company to obtain the distribution rights this time. But Mr. Lin, you let our King Kong company become the sole agent for the entire southern Xia region. thank you so much. When Zhao Hebo mentioned this matter, his entire face became rosy. With the popularity of flower stems' perfume and essence, he could already imagine the huge profits that King Kong Company would earn after becoming the sole agent of the southern Xia region. He could also imagine the scene of the company praising him and Liu Gonglu. Thinking of this, Zhao Hebo raised his wine glass again and said, "Mr. Lin, let me toast you again." After saying that, he poured another glass of wine into his stomach. Then the three of them continued drinking, eating, and chatting. It was very relaxed. At this moment, Liu Gonglu suddenly said, "Lin Fan, do you know the president of Flower Stem? Why did she make our company the sole agent of the southern Xia region the moment I mentioned your name?" When Zhao Hebo heard this, his figure straightened slightly, and his ears could not help but perk up. Obviously, he was also very curious about this question. It was really this matter was too unbelievable. "Yeah, I know her," Lin Fan said casually. "And the reason why she directly made your company the sole agent of the southern Xia region is probably because I'm the biggest shareholder of Flower Stem." As soon as he said this, Zhao Hebo and Liu Gonglu suddenly opened their mouths wide and were stunned on the spot. Flower Stem, the biggest shareholder. If he was the major shareholder of the previous Flower Stem, it would be fine. However, being a shareholder of the current Flower Stem was too amazing. The biggest shareholder. How high was his net worth? Lin Fan did not care about the two people who were shocked. He rubbed his round belly and said, "I'm full, I'll leave first." After saying that, he stood up and walked out of the hall. At this moment, Zhao Hebo and Liu Gonglu came back to their senses. They looked at Lin Fan, who was already far away, and turned to walk toward the cashier. "Hello, we're here to pay the bill," Zhao Hebo said. "Sir, you don't have to pay for your meal with our boss," said the waiter with a smile. "Your boss?" Zhao Hebo frowned slightly. In the next moment his pupils suddenly constricted and he said, "You mean Mr. Lin?" "Yes," the waiter said. Instantly, Zhao Hebo and Liu Gonglu were stunned once again. The biggest shareholder of Flower Stem. The owner of the Imperial Hotel. Any one of these identities was enough to make people look up to them. At this moment, they were focused on a young man in his 20s. It was simply unimaginable. However, what they did not know was that this was only a small portion of Lin Fan's assets. If they knew all of his assets, what would their expressions be like? After a while, Zhao Hebo asked with difficulty, "Mr. Lin is?" I don't know either," Liu Gonglu was stunned. In reality, Lin Fan did not leave the Imperial Hotel. Instead, he went to the presidential suite on the top floor of the Imperial Hotel, which was specially prepared for him. After eating and drinking his fill, Lin Fan lay down on the soft bed, feeling extremely satisfied and enjoying himself. At this moment his phone vibrated slightly. 12:00 p.m. Ding, congratulations, you've received 5 yuan. Ding, congratulations, you've received 999 yuan. Ding, congratulations, you've received 10,000 yuan. Ding, congratulations, you've received 3 yuan. Lin Fan casually tapped on the screen and received a total of 40,211 yuan. Just as he was about to put down his phone, a brisk ringtone rang. It was Chu Yunyu. "Are you free for lunch?" Chu Yunyu asked. "You're late, I just finished eating with my former high school classmate Liu Gonglu," Lin Fan said. Chu Yunyu said, "Oh, okay, I've been quite busy recently, I might not be able to accompany you." Lin Fan said, "It's okay, but don't tire yourself out, your health is the most important." He paused before continuing, "By the way, is it okay for you to hand over all the sales channels in the southern Xia region to my former classmate's company?" Lin Fan knew that Chu Yunyu was a very ambitious person. She had always wanted to create world-class perfumes and cosmetics. Lin Fan did not want Chu Yunyu's career to be affected because of him. After all, compared to a former classmate, his lover was definitely more important. Chu Yunyu smiled. "Don't worry, I was planning to get a few regional agents. It's too complicated and messy to sell through scattered channels. The influence and scale of King Kong Company in the southern Xia region are very good. It's beneficial for us to let them be the sole agent." You know what? Our flower stems products have already caused quite a stir in the country. If we continue to develop, becoming a top brand in the world is definitely not an extravagant hope. Chu Yunyu started talking nonstop at the mention of the company. She sounded very excited. When Lin Fan heard this, he broke out into a smile. The two of them chatted for a while before hanging up. When Lin Fan picked up his phone again, it was already 4 in the afternoon. He slept very comfortably. Lin Fan did not continue to drive on Dai Dai. Instead, he lay on the bed and played with his phone. When he was hungry, he picked up the phone beside his bed and asked the waiter to send up a sumptuous meal. Then he rested for a while. In the blink of an eye, the sky turned completely dark. Only then did Lin Fan go downstairs. He drove the Santana and walked leisurely through the streets. He would occasionally receive a Dai Dai order. In the past, when Lin Fan was still an ordinary employee in the company, he would lie on the bed as soon as he got off work. He did not want to move at all. Even though he had been in Jiangbei for a few years, he had never visited Jiangbei properly. However, when he drove through Dai Dai today, he felt a different kind of beauty in Jiangbei. The spacious and clean road, the neon shops, and the pedestrians who were laughing. Lin Fan's face was filled with ease and satisfaction. At this moment, it would be more accurate to say that he was on a road trip in Jiangbei rather than driving through Dai Dai to complete a mission. At this moment, Lin Fan's phone vibrated slightly and another order appeared. He turned the steering wheel and went straight to the location. Two young people who looked like students got in. Jiangbei University of Arts and Science, thank you, the boy said. Then he whispered, there are still 10 minutes before the dormitory door closes. I'm afraid we won't be able to make it in time. The girl seemed to be a little flustered. Then what should we do? Did you bring your ID card? The girl nodded lightly. The boy said, then, if it really doesn't work, we'll stay outside today. The girl did not answer and just lowered her head silently. At this moment, Lin Fan, who had been silent all this while, said, 10 minutes, don't worry, I'll definitely drop you off before then. He first looked at the map, then stepped on the accelerator and turned the steering wheel. He sped through the shortcuts. In just 7 minutes, Lin Fan arrived at the dorm entrance of Jiangbei University of Arts and Science. Seeing this, the boy and girl got out of the car with blank expressions. There are still 3 minutes, Lin Fan shouted, quickly go back to the dormitory. After saying this, he stepped on the accelerator and sped away. Lin Fan held the steering wheel with one hand and rubbed his nose with the other. He smiled and said, they made it back to the dorm in time. They should be very grateful to me now, right? Then he casually looked at the mission system. Mission complete 5 special orders, reward 5 golden packets, progress for 5. Seeing this, Lin Fan's face revealed a look of surprise. Another special order, it seems like they're really grateful to me. Lin Fan looked at the gradually empty street. He took a turn at the intersection in front of him. After a while, he arrived in front of a door. After the doorbell rang, Hu Tian slowly opened the door. This was the first time Lin Fan had seen her since the Spring Festival. Compared to before the Spring Festival, Hu Tian looked fairer now. Her skin was fairer and her figure was more voluptuous. At this moment, Hu Tian seemed to have just taken a shower. Her hair was still a little wet and she was wearing a V-neck thin shirt. Lin Fan was stunned. Hu Tian seemed to have noticed Lin Fan's gaze as well. She smiled and said, why are you standing there like a fool? Why aren't you coming in? Lin Fan finally reacted and walked in. Creak. As soon as the door closed, the two of them were attracted to each other like magnets. O epsilon. 3 epsilon. Absence made the heart grow fonder. Eagles Nova 1 SOM. The next day, when Lin Fan woke up, he could smell the fragrance from outside. He slowly got up. After washing up, the dining table was already filled with noodles, dumplings, milk, eggs, and other rich breakfast items. You should be hungry, right? Hu Tian smiled. Hurry up and eat something. Lin Fan said, I am a little hungry. After saying that, he picked up the noodles and stuffed them into his mouth. Yes, delicious, Lin Fan praised. If it's delicious, eat more, Hu Tian said happily. by the way, did you take a few days off? Yeah, I'm driving through the Dai Dai app to experience life, Lin Fan said. Hu Tian was stunned. She never expected Lin Fan to take a leave of absence to drive through the Dai Dai app. One had to know. She knew Lin Fan quite well. He had several luxury cars, received tens of millions in bonuses, and was also the biggest shareholder of Flower Stem. Did he still need to drive through the Dai Dai app? Lin Fan smiled. It's quite interesting to drive through Dai Dai, Teacher Tianxian, do you want to experience it? Seeing that Lin Fan was not joking, Hu Tian shook her head and said, I've been studying the Hale conjecture recently. I'm afraid I don't have the time. Suddenly, a crisp voice rang out in Lin Fan's mind. Ding, read Foundation of Modern Algebra, Abstract Algebra, Advanced Algebra, Algebra Equations, and Algebra and Geometry. Reward, the proof process of Hale conjecture. When Lin Fan heard this, his face turned weird. Did he trigger another mission? The Hale conjecture was an unsolved mathematical problem. He only needed to read 5 books to solve it. Hu Tian seemed to have thought of something and said in an expectant tone, Are you interested in the Hale conjecture? Do you want to study it together? Lin Fan coughed lightly and said, For the time being, I'm still more interested in driving through Dai Dai. In the future, maybe I'll be interested in the Hale conjecture. I'll remember what you said, Hu Tian said with a smile. Hu Tian still had classes in the afternoon. Therefore, after Lin Fan and Hu Tian had lunch, Hu Tian went to Jiangbei University. Meanwhile, Lin Fan continued to rest for a while before continuing his Dai Dai journey. Today, he was not as lucky as yesterday. After a few consecutive orders, he either sent customers home or sent customers to a hotel. It was very dull. Even at night, Lin Fan still could not receive any special orders. Could it be that today is not a suitable day to complete the mission? Lin Fan muttered. At this moment his phone vibrated slightly, and another order appeared. Lin Fan turned the steering wheel and quickly arrived at the location. The customer was under a dimly lit tree. A man with a buzz cut crossed his arms and quickly got into the car. Not far away, an exquisite-looking female officer in plain clothes happened to see his appearance. For some reason, the female police officer felt that the man with a buzz cut was somewhat familiar. Relying on her professional sense, after the man with a buzz cut got into the car, the female officer quickly drove her own private car and quietly followed him. Ma Feng Forest Park, the man with a buzz cut said in a low voice after getting into the car. Lin Fan did not mind, as usual. He stepped on the accelerator and sped forward. Ma Feng Forest Park was located in the suburbs of Jiangbei. As they neared their destination, the surroundings were very desolate. There were even some dark lights. After turning a corner, the man with a buzz cut suddenly grinned and shouted, Stop the car. Lin Fan stepped on the brakes. Tusk. At this moment, the man suddenly took out a knife and shouted sternly, Hand over all your money. Seeing this, not only was Lin Fan not afraid, but he even smiled. Did he encounter a robbery? It should be considered a special order, right? The buzz-cut man's appearance was already a little fierce. Under the dim light he looked even more ferocious. He held the knife in one hand and rummaged through the car with the other. However, there was not even a piece of paper in the car, let alone money. Could it be, was he going to get nothing today? Actually, this was normal. After all, Lin Fan Santana was a gift from Volkswagen Group. Lin Fan did not store any money in it. Then the buzz-cut man's gaze fell on the car keys. His eyes moved slightly and he raised the knife as he shouted, Get out of the car. How could Lin Fan not see through his plans? Lin Fan had been driving for quite some time and was feeling a little bored. As he wished, he opened the car door and got out. When the man with the buzz cut walked out with the knife. Tusk. At this moment, a Volkswagen sped over from afar. The dazzling headlights made the buzz-cut man unable to open his eyes. With lightning speed, a beautiful figure quickly ran out of the Volkswagen and grabbed the buzz-cut man, pressing him to the ground. Then the beautiful figure skillfully took out the handcuffs on her waist and cuffed the buzz-cut man's hands. Her movements were like flowing water, smooth and agile. This scene Lin Fan saw everything. The woman was tall, plump, and strong. Her facial features were exquisite and delicate. Her long black hair was tied up high and fluttered in the wind. Alphagal Snavel C. She was not as gentle as an ordinary woman. On the contrary, she had a heroic sense of beauty. The high beam lights beside her were all focused on her. It caused her entire body to faintly emit a dazzling light. At this moment, Lin Fan had a strange feeling in his heart. It was as if she was not a mortal woman but a female war god who descended from the sky. She was valiant and charming. Lin Fan could not help but use his eyes of truth to observe this beautiful woman. Appearance 96. Favorability 35. At this moment the beauty turned her body slowly and looked at Lin Fan with a scrutinizing gaze. She asked, "I'm from Jiangbei City. Who are you? Why did you come here with him, and why would he point a knife at you?" "I received an order through Dai Dai to send him here," Lin Fan said honestly. "Then I was robbed by him." The beautiful office nodded noncommittally and said, "I understand, but now I'll have to trouble you to come with me to the investigation team to give a statement. Please cooperate." Obviously, she had made this arrangement for safety reasons. The police would never believe a one-sided story. They had to go through a strict review to determine the truth. Lin Fan understood their process and nodded, "All right." After a while, a police vehicle drove over from afar, and the man with a buzz cut was brought inside. Lin Fan got into the beautiful officer's car while his Santana was driven away by another man. After all, Lin Fan was a victim, and it was not suitable to treat him like a criminal. If Lin Fan was a bad person, the beautiful officer believed that she could subdue him. Of course, this was just the confidence of the beautiful officer. Lin Fan sat in her car and looked around. The interior of the car was spotless, very clean and tidy. She was indeed a beautiful woman with a serious personality. When Lin Fan's gaze landed on the car's armrest, he could not help but praise internally, "She's indeed a beautiful woman with a score of 96. Her ID photo is so beautiful. Wang Ru, her name is not bad either." At this time Wang Ru said, "You didn't seem scared at all." Lin Fan said, "After all, he's just a robber with a knife." Wang Ru looked at Lin Fan and did not say anything. With the sound of brakes, Lin Fan, Wang Ru, the buzz-cut man, and the others walked toward the investigation team. The buzz-cut man was panicking, while Lin Fan was very relaxed. At this moment, the burly captain of the investigation team, Deng Jihu, happened to walk out with his head held high. Wang Ru and the other detectives became serious and shouted, "Greetings, Captain." Deng Jihu nodded and prepared to continue walking forward. In the next moment, his body suddenly froze and his pupils constricted. That was because he saw Lin Fan. "Mr. Lin," Deng Jihu said excitedly. "Leader Deng," Lin Fan said. What happened?" Deng Jihu asked. "It's nothing serious. I was bored and went out to play on Dai Dai. Then I was robbed by this guy with a buzz cut," Lin Fan replied. His tone was very calm, as if he was talking about a trivial matter. However, in Deng Jihu's ears, it sounded like thunder. Who was Lin Fan? Old Master Qin Weiming was very fond of him. Even the leaders of Jiang Province and Jiangbei City did not dare to show him any disrespect. He was actually robbed with a knife. How vile was this? "Mr. Lin, are you hurt?" Deng Jihu asked in fear. Lin Fan shook his head and said, "No, Wang Ru happened to pass by. She subdued the buzz-cut man." When Deng Jihu heard this, he heaved a sigh of relief and said, "It's good that you're fine, it's good that you're fine." Then he said to Wang Ru, "Good job." In the end, he stared at the buzz-cut man and shouted, "Bring him in and interrogate him strictly. I want him to confess all the bad things he has done in his life." "Yes, sir," the few officers standing at the side became solemn and shouted in unison. The buzz-cut man trembled in fear and almost fell to the ground. Lin Fan asked, "Do I still have to go in and cooperate with the investigation?" There's no need, it's already so late. Mr. Lin, just go home and have a good rest," Deng Jihu hurriedly said. Lin Fan nodded his head and did not reject. He went back. When he arrived at the Santana, a crisp notification sounded in Lin Fan's mind. Ding, you've completed the mission, complete 5 special orders, you'll receive 5 golden packets, progress 5-5. When Lin Fan heard this, his eyes lit up immediately, he could not help but smile. The mission was finally completed. 5 golden packets, what would he get? Lin Fan's heart was filled with a rare sense of excitement. Therefore, he did not stop at the entrance of the police station, he stepped on the accelerator and sped forward. Deng Jihu only retracted his gaze after Lin Fan's Santana had completely disappeared from sight. He did not go home, with a cold expression he strode into the station. Today he had to teach the person who robbed Lin Fan a lesson. 246 Open the golden packets. Thank you, readers. Lin Fan had no idea what Deng Jihu was thinking. At this moment he was heading toward the coiling dragon villa at his fastest speed. When the security guards at the entrance saw Lin Fan, they stood straight like soldiers and greeted him respectfully. Hello, Mr. Lin. Lin Fan nodded his head casually and walked into the villa. Then he focused all his attention on the system. Lin Fan looked at the dazzling golden packets in the system and said excitedly, "Let me see what I can get from these 5 golden packets." Opened. Ding, congratulations, you've received a double shares coupon. You can double your shares, more assets, and more charming charm. Ding, congratulations, you've received 10 Rolls-Royce Phantoms. Ding, congratulations, you've obtained 1 bag of spirit tea seeds. Ding, congratulations, you've received 5 million yuan. Ding, congratulations, you've received 5 million yuan. Lin Fan ignored the 5 million yuan. 10 Rolls-Royce Phantoms. One had to know. Each Rolls-Royce Phantom cost more than 10 million yuan, so 10 of them would cost 100 million yuan. Double shares coupon. Lin Fan now owned 51% of the shares of the Yinshan Group, Kingkun Group, Xiao Wu Wholesale City, and other companies. The market value of these companies was more than 10 billion. Once he used the double shares coupon on one of the companies, Lin Fan would have 100% control over the company. His assets would increase by tens, hundreds, or even tens of billions. However, Lin Fan did not plan to use it on these companies because he still owned 5% of LV, Gucci, Volkswagen Group, Little Tanuki, Penguin, and other super companies. The market value of these companies was close to 1 trillion or more. Especially Little Tanuki and Penguin, which were super giants with a market value of 5 trillion. If he used the double shares coupon on one of these companies, then Lin Fan would have 10% of the company's shares and his assets would instantly increase by hundreds of billions. This was definitely a terrifying number. Lin Fan first ruled out LV, Gucci, and the Volkswagen Group. Firstly, it was because their market value was relatively low, and it was not worth it to use the double shares coupon. Secondly, these 3 companies were related to clothes, bags, and cars. Lin Fan did not lack these things at all, and he was not too interested in them either. Thirdly, Lin Fan knew that Little Tanuki and Penguin belonged to a giant company in the country. However, a large portion of their shares were in the hands of foreigners. Lin Fan had a vision: if he could get a few more double shares coupons, soon these 2 giant companies would belong to him and return to the country. Thinking of this, after pondering for a moment, Lin Fan had finally made a decision. Ding, do you want to use the double shares coupon on Penguin Corporation? Yes. Lin Fan's net worth had increased by another 250 billion. Seeing this, Lin Fan's lips curled up. Then he turned his attention to the spiritual tea seeds. Spirit tea seed, it can quickly grow fresh and natural tea leaves. The tea has the effects of expelling toxins from the body, rejuvenating the body, and prolonging life. Seeing this, Lin Fan's eyes lit up immediately. Expel the toxins in the body, rejuvenate the spirit, and prolong life. The name spirit tea was absolutely appropriate. When Lin Fan raised his head, a bag of seeds had already appeared in front of him. Obviously, this was the bag of spirit tea seeds. Outside the window in the distance, a row of Rolls-Royce Phantoms appeared. Sign in. Ding, congratulations, you've received 10 million yuan. Tonight Lin Fan slept very comfortably. The next day after the sun rose, a rumbling sound came from outside. A large group of construction workers arrived at the entrance of the coiling Dragon Villa complex. Eh? Lin Fan heard the voice and opened his eyes slowly. He first casually glanced at his phone. As usual, a text message appeared on the screen. Notice from Merchant Bank, 3,650,000 yuan was deposited into your account. When he opened the door, two security guards happened to walk over. Mr. Lin, there's a group of construction workers outside. They said that you asked them to come over, the security guard said. Lin Fan nodded and said, yes, let them in. All right, the security guards did not dare to ask any more questions. They turned around and let more than a dozen construction workers in. Among them, the person walking in front was the manager of Lin Fan's Flying Dragon Security Company, Wang Xingli. Hello, Mr. Lin, Wang Xingli said respectfully. These people are all skilled construction workers. They can build walls, stick ceramic tiles, and make furniture. There's nothing they don't know how to do. Can they demolish houses? Lin Fan asked. Yes, Wang Xingli said without hesitation. All right then, you guys can tear down the villa at the back. Lin Fan pointed into the distance. Wang Xingli, the construction workers, and the security guards standing not far away were all stunned. Demolish the villa. Tearing down a palace-like villa. Seeing that Wang Xingli and the workers did not reply, Lin Fan frowned and asked, What's wrong? You don't know how to demolish it. Wang Xingli was the first to react and said, Of course not, brothers, let's go. Remember to take away all the bricks, cement, marble, furniture, and other things. Leave only an empty space, Lin Fan said. Mr. Lin, don't worry, I'll definitely do a clean job, Wang Xingli patted his chest. The security guards felt their throats go dry as they watched the large group of workers leave. Finally, a security guard could not help but ask, Mr. Lin, you're demolishing that villa because... Oh, I want to start a tea plantation there. It should be quite good to plant tea by the lake, Lin Fan smiled. When the security guards heard this, they were instantly stunned. One had to know. This was the Coiling Dragon Villa by Tianhu Lake. Each villa was worth at least 200 to 300 million. Demolishing a villa worth at least 200 to 300 million yuan to plant tea. Was this the world of the rich? Naturally, Lin Fan did not pay attention to the stunned security guard. He got into one of the Rolls-Royce Phantoms that he had just obtained last night. He stepped on the accelerator and sped into the distance. The Rolls-Royce Phantom was very wide and large, looking very heavy. However, it had a 6.7L V12 engine that could produce 571 horsepower, so its acceleration and reaction speed were not slow at all. Lin Fan went to a 2-star Michelin Western restaurant a few kilometers away and ordered truffle egg tarts, shrimp pancakes, black pudding, and skimmed milk. He spent a total of 780 yuan and ate a simple breakfast before continuing to drive the Rolls-Royce Phantom to Jiangbei University, which he had not been to for a few days. Chapter 247, No Classes in the Morning, Mission Completed Again. Translator, Endless Fantasy Translation, Editor, Endless Fantasy Translation. It was a weekday morning in Jiangbei and the road was very congested. Thank you, readers. However, Lin Fan managed to reach Jiangbei University in just half an hour. Wherever he passed, the surrounding cars tried their best to keep a distance from him, afraid that they would accidentally bump into him. After Lin Fan parked the Rolls-Royce Phantom, he muttered to himself, It feels more comfortable to sit in the back row. It's indeed more suitable to have a driver drive this car. Then Lin Fan strolled toward the classroom. However, he found that the classroom was empty. Lin Fan took out his phone and sent a message to the dorm group. Lin Fan typed, Why is there no one in the classroom? Songyi, brother Fan, you're here. There are no classes this morning. Lin Fan was speechless. Seeing this, Lin Fan's face was filled with helplessness. It was rare for him to come to school after the Spring Festival, but there were no classes. Lin Fan could only turn around and leave the classroom. When he looked up, he happened to see the library not far away. After hesitating for a moment, he strode over. He remembered that he still had a mission to complete. Anyway, there was nothing much to do now, so he would complete it. The library of Jiangbei University was always packed with people. Looking around, other than the rows of bookshelves, there were also the surging figures of the students. Lin Fan walked past the engineering bookshelf, the chemistry bookshelf, and the electricity bookshelf. He went straight to the mathematics bookshelf. Modern Algebra Foundation, Abstract Algebra, Advanced Algebra, Algebra Equations, Algebra and Geometry. About 5 minutes later, Lin Fan found all the books he needed to read for the mission. Then he hugged 5 thick books and looked at the seat in the distance, but all he could see was a black mass of heads. Almost all the seats were taken. There were a few empty seats, but they were also filled with books and information like a bright flag declaring the territory. Lin Fan muttered in his heart, "Seems like I can only stand and read." At this moment, an extremely magnetic voice suddenly sounded from the side. "Ooh, do you need a seat?" When Lin Fan heard that, he turned around slowly. A 167 cm tall girl with long black hair and a pair of black-rimmed glasses was standing behind Lin Fan with a book on number theory. For some reason, Lin Fan felt that she looked familiar. He could not help but use his eyes of truth to observe her. Appearance 94. Favorability 65. When Lin Fan first laid eyes on her, he guessed that her looks were above 90 points. Therefore, he was not surprised that she scored 94 points. His favorability had reached 65, which was far above the passing line. Obviously, this woman had a good impression of him. Could it be, did he really know her? Lin Fan nodded his head slightly with a hint of doubt in his heart. "I need a seat." There's an available seat beside me," the girl said. After saying that, she took the lead and walked forward. After a while, the two of them came to an empty space with 2 stacks of documents. Lin Fan did not stand on ceremony and sat down. He opened Modern Algebra Foundation and started flipping through it. Skill scanning. 1 page, 2 pages, 3 pages, 4 pages. Immediately, the sound of books being flipped could be heard. In about 2 minutes, he was done reading the 100-page Modern Algebra Foundation. Then there was Abstract Algebra, Advanced Algebra, Algebra Equations, as well as Algebra and Geometry. He finished reading all 5 thick and obscure books in less than 10 minutes. At the same time, a crisp notification rang out in Lin Fan's mind. "Ding, you've completed the mission. Read Modern Algebra Foundation, Abstract Algebra, Advanced Algebra, Algebra Equations, Algebra and Geometry. You've obtained the proof process of the Hale conjecture." All of a sudden, many complicated calculations and formulas flooded through Lin Fan's mind like a tidal wave. After a long while, his face revealed a hint of enlightenment. He muttered in his heart, "So this is how the Hale conjecture is proven." When Lin Fan turned his head, he realized that the girl with black-rimmed glasses was thinking about a math question with her head lowered. Seeing this, Lin Fan finally remembered why he felt that she was familiar and why she had a good impression of him. That was because, back then, Lin Fan had gone to the library to read 10 books on earthquakes and physics in order to obtain the earthquake prediction device and its manufacturing principles. At that time, this woman, he happened to be sitting beside her. Before he left, Lin Fan was in a good mood. Therefore, he even helped her answer a question. Thinking back to what had happened, Lin Fan rubbed his nose and muttered in his heart, "I helped her solve the problem and she gave me a seat. Is this karma for good people?" Then, Lin Fan's gaze landed on the question again. Almost instantly, he knew how to answer the question. However, Lin Fan did not write down the answer directly. Instead, he reminded her, "If you want to answer this question, you can first think about the basic structure of number theory." After all, it was better to teach people to fish than to give them fish. The woman slowly raised her head and asked in confusion, "Basic structure." Lin Fan picked up a pen and paper and quickly wrote down a formula. When the girl saw this, her beautiful eyes immediately lit up. She said in realization, "Thank you, I understand now." Lin Fan smiled and nodded. "You should know my name, right?" It was no wonder he thought so. That was because Lin Fan had met her twice. Each time she was solving math questions. Lin Fan solved Zhou's conjecture and the twin prime number conjecture. He solved 2 mathematical problems. He believed that if one was a mathematics major, one would be able to recognize him. This was not Lin Fan boasting, it was the truth. However, the woman shook her head and said, I do. This sentence almost made Lin Fan choke. I'm a physics major, the woman said. My name is Lu Ling. Only then did Lin Fan recover. Physics major, no wonder. He cleared his throat and said, my name is Lin Fan. After saying each other's names, the two of them seemed to be more familiar with each other. I see that you often flip through a lot of books. Are you looking for something? Lu Lin asked. I guess so, Lin Fan said. What could he say? That he was just reading normally. Lu Lin would probably ask again, then how do you read so fast? Would Lin Fan then say that not only did he finish reading everything, but he could even memorize everything without missing a single word? It would be a little troublesome to explain. Lin Fan hated trouble, so he did not bother explaining. 248 No one believes the truth, head to the office. Lin Fan chatted with Lu Lin for a while before strolling back to the dormitory. Thank you, readers. Brother Lin Fan, you're finally here. I missed you so much, Song Yi was the first to shout excitedly. After saying that, he opened his arms and looked like he wanted to hug Lin Fan. Lin Fan waved his hands. Forget about hugging, I only hug beautiful women. Zhang Jinbao, who was sitting in front of the computer, heard the word beautiful and his eyes lit up. He chuckled and said, Brother Lin Fan, which pretty girl did you go out with these past few days? Lin Fan laughed bitterly and said, I went to earn money from Dai Dai. I have no choice. Life isn't easy. Zhang Jinbao directly filtered out the words, life is not easy. He widened his eyes and asked excitedly, F***CK, awesome. Brother Lin Fan, tell me, how many pretty girls did you meet? Obviously, he felt that Lin Fan had driven his supercar. How could ordinary beauties resist the temptation of a supercar? Lin Fan saw through Zhang Jinbao's thoughts at a glance and said, What are you thinking about? I didn't use a supercar. What? Zhang Jinbao was confused. At this moment, the sound of brisk footsteps could be heard from outside. Ma Zhang carried a stack of books and slowly walked in. Brother Lin Fan, you're back, Ma Zhang said happily. Lin Fan nodded, yeah. Then Ma Zhang took out his phone and said, Oh right, when I passed by the parking lot just now I saw a Rolls-Royce parked in our school. Almost all men loved cars. The Rolls-Royce was the king of cars. When Song Yi and Zhang Jinbao heard this, they leaned their heads over. It's a Rolls-Royce Phantom, Song Yi shouted. Lin Fan smiled casually, if you want to see, you can go over and take a look. As he spoke, he placed the Rolls-Royce Phantom keys in his pocket on the table. Silence. He was most afraid of a sudden silence. After a while, Song Yi stuttered, Brother Lin Fan, is the Rolls-Royce Phantom yours too? Yes it is, Lin Fan said. Lin Fan already owned several supercars, yet he had a Rolls-Royce Phantom now. Zhang Jinbao, Song Yi and Ma Zhang shouted in unison, Brother Lin Fan, you're awesome. At this moment, Zhang Jinbao seemed to have thought of something and asked, Brother Lin Fan, don't tell me you drove the Phantom when you were driving through Dai Dai. As he spoke, he could not help but think of the scene when the passengers sat in the Rolls-Royce Phantom and were dumbfounded. I drove the Santana, however, I earned this Rolls-Royce Phantom by driving through Dai Dai, Lin Fan said. Brother Lin Fan, do you think I'm stupid? Zhang Jinbao said. Was that not so? A Rolls-Royce Phantom cost 10 million. Dai Dai. Even if he drove to his death, he would definitely not be able to earn that kind of money. Lin Fan smiled and shook his head. In fact, Lin Fan did not just earn a Rolls-Royce Phantom from Dai Dai, he had earned 10 cars from it. In addition, there was 10 million in cash and 5% of Penguin Group's shares. Sometimes the truth was hard to believe. When a group of young people were together, time seemed to slip away like sand in their palms. Soon the bell rang. Lin Fan, Zhang Jinbao, Ma Zhang, Song Yi and the others had already arrived at the classroom. They were not the only ones, there were many others who had similar actions. There was no empty seat in the classroom. It was because this was Teacher Tianqian's class. Following the sound of crisp footsteps, Teacher Tianqian, who was wearing a pure white short skirt and a light gray windbreaker, walked to the podium. Instantly the entire classroom fell silent. Teacher Tianchen first looked at the students in the classroom. When she saw Lin Fan, her pretty face could not help but reveal a faint smile. This smile, like the rising sun in the winter, everyone's hearts almost melted. Then Teacher Tianchen began today's class. Usually, when a teacher gave a lecture, most of the students would fall asleep and wish that the class would end in a second. However, Teacher Tianchen's class was the complete opposite. After the bell rang, many students began to complain. Why is class over so soon? Yeah. However, no matter how much they complained, there would be no change in the time of the end of class. When Teacher Tianchen was about to leave the classroom, she suddenly stopped and said, Lin Fan, come to my office after school. After saying that, she continued to walk out. Instantly, all the students in the classroom looked at Lin Fan with envy. Teacher Tianchen's invitation. Moreover, this was not the first time. Song Yi Ma Zhang and Zhang Jinbao shouted in unison, Brother Fan, I'll kneel before you. After saying that, they really did bend their knees slightly as if they were about to kneel. Lin Fan looked at their funny faces and wanted to laugh. Lin Fan had been to Teacher Tianchen's office several times and was now very familiar with it. At this moment, Teacher Tianchen was the only one in the office. The quiet office and Teacher Tianchen, who was writing at her desk, formed a beautiful picture. When Teacher Tianchen heard the footsteps, she slowly raised her head. When she saw that it was Lin Fan, she could not help but smile. Do you want something to drink? I'm a little thirsty, Lin Fan said. After saying that, he did not treat himself as an outsider. He directly picked up the cup that Teacher Tianchen had just drunk from and started drinking it. After all, with their relationship, there was no need for formalities. After Lin Fan drank the water, he looked at the calculations on Teacher Tianchen's desk and said, Are you still studying the Hale conjecture? There seems to be a problem here. Where? Teacher Tianchen asked. Lin Fan pointed at a formula. Then he picked up a pen and paper and started writing. 2m3n plus 11mn 2m3m plus. Forget it, I'll just write down the entire process, Lin Fan said. Teacher Tianchen, who was sitting next to her, was stunned. Write down the entire process. Lin Fan picked up a new stack of draft paper. x1 equals 3, x2 equals 3 times 1 plus 1 2. Lin Fan's writing speed was very fast. He did not think at all. The tip of the pen collided with the draft paper, making light and hurried sounds. At first, Teacher Tianchen was still looking down at Lin Fan's handwriting seriously. However, as time passed, gradually, Teacher Tianchen could not keep up even if she just watched. Then, Teacher Tianchen could not help but shift her gaze from the draft book to Lin Fan. She looked at Lin Fan's quick writing of the formula and his focused expression. At this moment, in Teacher Tianchen's eyes, Lin Fan did not seem to be writing down formulas. Instead, he was sitting on a gorgeous stage, gathering dazzling stage lights on himself while playing a beautiful piece of music. Teacher Tianchen's heart beat faster and faster as the rhythm of the movement rose and fell. 249 Conjecture answered, Invitation. One by one, Lin Fan flipped through the draft papers filled with complicated equations and calculations. Thank you, readers. The speed at which Lin Fan wrote was getting faster and faster. In Teacher Tianchen's eyes, it was so charming and pleasant. It was as if this piano piece was full of ups and downs with endless climaxes. Teacher Tianchen's breathing even began to become a little hurried, and her beautiful cheeks were flushed. After writing on nearly 20 pages of draft paper, Lin Fan's fingers suddenly stopped. Then, he switched to the ballpoint pen in Teacher Tianchen's hand and wrote down the last line of calculations. xs1 plus 1 equals 3xs plus 1 slash 2n, so 3n plus 1 is true. Lin Fan smiled, Hale conjecture solved. As soon as he finished speaking, Teacher Tianchen, who was sitting beside him, leaned her head over. Oh epsilon. 3 epsilon. Letter 2c9, letter 2c9. Teacher Tianchen was using her own way to express the excitement in her heart. When love was deep, it was difficult to control it. After more than an hour, the two of them slowly separated. Teacher Tianchen tidied up her clothes. Then she turned her gaze back to the draft book filled with calculations and exclaimed, Lin Fan, you actually proved the Hale conjecture. After saying that, Teacher Tianchen could not help but look at Lin Fan with an extremely passionate gaze. Lin Fan, when did you start researching the Hale conjecture? The last time we met, Lin Fan said. Yesterday, Teacher Tianchen said. Yeah, Lin Fan nodded. Yesterday morning, Lin Fan said that he was more interested in driving through Dai Dai. In the future, he might be interested in the Hale conjecture. Then, after a day, he directly proved the Hale conjecture. One had to know. The Hale conjecture was a super difficult problem that had stumped the entire world for nearly 100 years. In the end, Lin Fan only used one day to solve it. What kind of genius was he? At this moment in Teacher Tianchen's eyes, Lin Fan seemed to be emitting an incomparably dazzling light. He was so mesmerizing. Lin Fan, Teacher Tianchen called out softly. What's wrong? Lin Fan asked curiously. Teacher Tianchen did not say anything, she just moved her head closer. Oh epsilon. 3 epsilon. Letter 2C9, letter 2C9. This time the two of them slowly separated when a patrolling security guard appeared outside the corridor. However, their separation was only temporary. Lin Fan went to Teacher Tianchen's house. The next day, since it was the weekend, neither of them had to go to school. Lin Fan and Hu Tian sat together and ate their breakfast leisurely. Lin Fan, which magazine do you want to publish the solution to Hale conjecture on? Hu Tian asked. Lin Fan took a mouthful of noodles and said, Publish it, it's too troublesome, I only proved it out of interest. If you want to publish it, just publish it. When Hu Tian heard this, she felt both helpless and touched. If it was someone else who solved such a world-class problem, they would definitely be ecstatic. After that, they would analyze it again and again to see which magazine they should submit to. However, Lin Fan was so calm, he even handed over the solution to her and asked her to submit it. If she had any ill intentions, this huge achievement would completely belong to her. All right, I'll submit it to Annual Mathematics for you, Hu Tian said. Lin Fan nodded his head nonchalantly and finished the last mouthful of broth. He praised, Your food is getting more and more delicious. If you like it, eat more, Hu Tian said happily. After chatting for a while, Lin Fan drove the Rolls-Royce Phantom toward the Coiling Dragon Villa. In the past, the Coiling Dragon Villa complex was located closest to the lake. It was a villa that occupied a huge area. Now it was empty. Seeing this, Lin Fan smiled and said in satisfaction, Wang Xingli is quite efficient. He took away all the bricks and stones. This is very suitable for planting tea leaves. After saying that, he took the hoe and shovel that he had bought earlier and scattered the spiritual tea seeds that he had obtained from the golden packet. He also watered them with the appropriate amount of water. Just like that, Lin Fan continued to sow and water the seeds in the Coiling Dragon Villa. 2 days passed very leisurely and comfortably. After ordinary tea leaves were planted, even if they were carefully taken care of, given the best fertilizer and had sufficient water, there would definitely not be any changes in 2 days. However, the spiritual tea seeds had sprouted. At this moment, standing in the Coiling Dragon Villa complex and looking at the sky lake, Lin Fan could see a green scene full of vitality. At this moment, the phone in Lin Fan's pocket rang. He looked at the caller ID and saw that it was a call from President Ma of Penguin. Lin Fan did not hesitate and answered the call. Mr. Lin, how was your weekend? As soon as he picked up the phone, President Ma's gentle voice came from the other end. Lin Fan said, I planted tea seeds and watered them. It was relaxing. I didn't expect you to be someone who likes the rural life. President Ma was a little surprised. Lin Fan smiled, What kind of person did you think I was? President Ma thought for a moment and said, Generally speaking, young people like you are interested in lively parties and exciting sports, or a challenging career. Lin Fan smiled, Compared to these, I would rather lie down. After the two of them exchanged pleasantries, President Ma finally revealed the purpose of the call. By the way, Mr. Lin, Penguin Group has opened a new company in Jiangbei City. I wonder if you're free to go with me tomorrow. Lin Fan remembered that he was the second largest shareholder of Penguin Group, but he had never been to the headquarters of Penguin Group. Of course, Lin Fan did not want to go to Yang City to see Penguin Group's headquarters. If he did not go to the headquarters, then the branch in Jiangbei taking a look around seemed possible. Lin Fan replied, "Okay, I'll go with you tomorrow." "That's great," President Ma said happily. "To be honest, I've been missing the food in Jiangbei ever since I left. Mr. Lin, you must bring me out to eat again tomorrow." Lin Fan smiled, "Of course." The two of them chatted for a while before hanging up. Then Lin Fan sent a request for leave to Sun Yaodong. Regarding this, Sun Yaodong did not hesitate at all, nor did he ask for any reason. He directly chose. The next morning, a breeze blew the branches gently. A ray of sunlight shone through the gap in the curtains and onto the balcony. Lin Fan finally opened his eyes. He first casually glanced at his phone and saw a text message appear on the screen. "Notice from Merchant Bank, 3,670,000 yuan was deposited into your account. Sign in." "Ding, congratulations, you've obtained Jiazhu bar." Lin Fan muttered, "A bar, what's the use of giving it to me? Forget it, it's better than 10 million yuan." Then Lin Fan slowly got up. After washing up, he picked up the bread that had already been baked automatically and put it into his mouth. He then chewed on Wagyu beef, Australian lobster, crab, eggs, lettuce, and other food. Although the ingredients were relatively simple, the taste was not bad. Lin Fan was satisfied with the food. After breakfast, Lin Fan went to the lake and watered all the sprouts. Then he drove the Mercedes-Benz G-Class toward the Jiangbei branch of Penguin Group. Compared to the short sports car and the Rolls-Royce Phantom driven by a driver, Lin Fan liked the sturdy and tall SUV Mercedes-Benz G-Class even more. As it was Monday, there were many cars on the road and many sections were congested. Lin Fan was not in a hurry and continued to move forward at a constant speed. He arrived at his destination at around 10:30 in the morning. Lin Fan parked the car and walked in. At this moment, a man in a checkered shirt slowly walked out of the beverage room beside the door with a cup of coffee. When he saw Lin Fan, he exclaimed, "Lin Fan." "Shen Liang," Lin Fan said in surprise. That was right. This man was Lin Fan's high school classmate, Shen Liang. After graduation, this was the third time Lin Fan had seen him. The first time was at a class reunion in Jiangbei. At that time, Shen Liang was considered one of the friendliest people to Lin Fan. After that, when their homeroom teacher was hospitalized, Shen Liang was one of the few people who specially rushed back to Qing City. In addition, Lin Fan and Shen Liang had a good relationship in high school. Overall, Lin Fan had a good impression of Shen Liang. "Lin Fan, why did you come to our company?" Shen Liang asked. The last time they met, Shen Liang had also mentioned that he was working in it. Lin Fan did not expect him to be working in IT at Penguin. Did that not mean that Shen Liang was his employee? "Isn't this Penguin Group?" Lin Fan asked. "I'm here for a stroll." Regarding this, Shen Liang was not too surprised. This was because Penguin Group was a giant company in Hua Nation that had established its own online empire. In the past, many people could not help but run in to take a look when they passed by. "Eagle Snova 1 SOM, since you're already in our company, I'll be your guide," Shen Liang said with a smile. "All right," Lin Fan agreed immediately. Even though he had already agreed to meet with President Ma. He had not seen President Ma just yet. He would just take a stroll first, it was nothing. "By the way, do you want a cup of coffee?" Shen Liang asked again. "I think it tastes similar to Starbucks." After he finished speaking, he did not wait for Lin Fan's reply and walked into the beverage room. As soon as they walked into the beverage room, they were greeted by the rich aroma of coffee. Shen Liang skillfully poured a cup of coffee from the coffee machine and handed it to Lin Fan. Then he pointed at the various snacks piled up on the wall cabinet in the distance and said, "Is there anything you want to eat? You can take whatever you want, it's all free." "Then give me a packet of QQ candy," said Lin Fan. "I didn't expect you to like this," Shen Liang said with a smile. Then Shen Liang brought Lin Fan inside and said, "This is the design department. many of the news photos come from here. This is the news department, there are many editors here. This is the gaming department, the people in this department have the highest salary. When Shen Liang said this, his face revealed a thick look of envy. That's our marketing department. Eh? Shen Liang introduced as he walked. Lin Fan nodded his head. The two of them were chatting and laughing. When they reached the corner, Shen Liang accidentally bumped into someone. When he raised his head, his entire body seemed to have been frozen. The person he hit, he was wearing a black suit and had short hair. He was the IT director of the Jiangbei branch of Penguin Group. Beside the IT director stood the general manager, deputy chief supervisor, and many other top figures. The chairman of Penguin Group, Mr. Ma, was surrounded by them. These people, they were actually together. He had actually bumped into them. Moreover, it was during working hours. Shen Liang only felt his head buzzing, and his entire face began to turn slightly pale. Penguin Group was the largest company in Hua Nation's internet industry. At the same time, it was also one of the few companies with the best treatment. Countless people fought to enter Penguin. Back then, Shen Liang also spent a lot of effort to obtain this opportunity. Now, he was afraid there would not be anything left. At this moment, President Ma, who was surrounded by people, smiled and said, "Mr. Lin, when did you arrive? Why didn't you tell me? I could have picked you up at the door." As he spoke, President Ma took the initiative to extend his right hand toward Lin Fan. Lin Fan reached out his hand and shook it gently. This scene not only stunned Shen Liang but also the general manager, director, and department head. The general manager, director, and the others had learned from President Ma not long ago that a very important guest would be coming over later. In their opinion, the guest who was called a very important guest by President Xiao Ma must be at least 30 to 40 years old. Some people even started to guess if it was President Li. In the end, it turned out to be a young man who looked to be in his 20s. After meeting Lin Fan for the second time, Shen Liang knew that Lin Fan was a godly tycoon with a lot of connections. However, he had never thought that Lin Fan would know President Ma. After all, there were too many tycoons in Hua Nation. However, how many people were there who could really interact with Xiao Ma? What was the situation now? Not only did President Ma know Lin Fan, but he even took the initiative to greet him and shake his hand. He was even willing to go out and welcome him personally. This. Who exactly was Lin Fan? Lin Fan smiled. "I just met a friend, he brought me around so I didn't tell you." "Oh," President Ma said, "your friend." Then he extended his right hand toward Shen Liang and said, "Hello, I'm Xiao Ma, how should I address you?" President Ma took the initiative to greet him, shake his hand, and ask for his name. Shen Liang felt his heart almost jump out of his chest. He said excitedly, "Shen Liang, my name is Shen Liang." Then he stretched out his hands and held onto President Ma's right hand tightly. No wonder Shen Liang would be like this. One had to know. President Ma had built a small chat software into the world-famous Penguin Group step by step. In the eyes of countless people, especially those in the IT industry, President Ma was definitely a godlike existence. Now this god was actually shaking hands with him. How could he not be excited? President Ma smiled and nodded. "Hello, Mr. Shen." Hello, Shen Liang said repeatedly. The two of them shook hands for a while before President Ma said to Lin Fan, "Mr. Lin, can I show you around?" "All right," Lin Fan nodded. It was different from when Shen Liang brought Lin Fan out for a stroll. At this moment, Lin Fan was surrounded by a large group of people, including Penguin's Jiangbei branch's general manager, director, and President Ma. Every time Lin Fan walked into an office, there would be a round of applause. In the blink of an eye, an hour had passed. Lin Fan, President Ma, the director, Shen Liang, and the others arrived at Jiangbei Hotel. Obviously, the attendant had good eyes. After seeing them from afar, he immediately informed the manager, Zhang Shanfeng. Zhang Shanfeng hurriedly came over and arranged the best private room and the most delicious food. President Ma gently inhaled the fragrance that filled the room and praised, "Smelling the fragrance on this table, my appetite is immediately whetted. First of all, thank you, Mr. Lin. It's thanks to you that we can taste such delicious food. After saying that, President Ma picked up his wine glass. The general managers and directors around him followed. As for Shen Liang, who was sitting beside Lin Fan, he was still in a daze. However, he also raised his wine glass. Then everyone downed the wine in their glasses. President Ma, you're too polite, Lin Fan smiled. As he spoke, he also drank a glass. After a glass of wine, the atmosphere in the private room immediately became much more lively. Mr. Lin, what do you think of our Jiangbei branch? Asked Mr. Ma. Lin Fan said, the company has a fitness room, a beverage room, a game room, a sky park, a star-rated canteen. It allows the employees to eat, drink, and play well while working. Overall, it's not bad. Lin Fan did not just casually praise him. Generally speaking, many companies did their best to squeeze their employees and did not pay attention to their health at all. There were very few companies like Penguin Group. When President Ma heard this, he could not help but smile. He said, our company has always allowed our employees to work in a healthy and happy way. In fact, the Jiangbei branch is completely based on our Penguin headquarters. Everyone drank a few more glasses of wine and chatted for a while. President Ma finally told Lin Fan the reason why he came to Jiangbei today and asked Lin Fan out for a meal. In the past, I always thought that people would only have certain abilities and achievements when they reached the age of 30 and 40. It wasn't until I met you that I realized I was wrong. Mr. Lin, thank you for your support of Penguin Group. You've also increased your shares to 10%, becoming the second largest shareholder of Penguin Group. Silence. The entire private room suddenly fell silent. What did they hear? 10% of Penguin Group's shares. One had to know. Penguin Group was a supergiant company with a market value of 5 trillion. 10% of the shares, which meant Mr. Lin, who was in front of them, was worth more than 500 billion yuan. What a terrifying number. Originally, Shen Liang had gradually adapted to the atmosphere in the private room. However, when he heard this, he was stunned again. Lin Fan understood what Xiao Ma was thinking. He was just worried that he would interfere with Penguin's work. After all, the number of shares he held now had surpassed that of President Ma's. He had become the second largest shareholder of Penguin Group and had become an uncertain factor in the company. Lin Fan smiled. Rather than saying that I'm optimistic about Penguin Corporation, it's better to say that I'm optimistic about the development of a small chat software into Penguin Group. Therefore, my shares will not interfere with any of the company's work. I'll just earn the dividends according to the profits. As expected, when President Ma heard this, an obvious smile immediately appeared on his face. He said, "Thank you, Mr. Lin, I won't disappoint you." Then he raised his glass again and drank it in one gulp. The meal lasted for nearly 2 hours. After that, Lin Fan did not go to the Jiangbei branch of Penguin Group. Instead, he went straight to Coiling Dragon Villa and lay down on the soft bed before falling asleep. An afternoon nap was a necessity for a handsome man. President Ma did not stay in Jiangbei for long. After personally sending Lin Fan to his car, he took the nearest flight to Yangcheng. As the leader of a big group with a market value of 5 trillion yuan, President Ma was very busy every day. As for visiting the Jiangbei branch of Penguin Group, to be honest, he was not interested at all. One had to know. Penguin Group had branches in dozens of cities in Hua Nation. If he had to visit every branch, in that case, he would be visiting branches every day. He would have to fly around every day. The real reason was that he was worried that Lin Fan, the second largest shareholder, would affect the future of the company. At this moment, in the Jiangbei branch of Penguin Group, Shen Liang sat at his desk and looked at the progress of his work in the morning. Then he prepared to continue working. At this moment, a sweet-looking woman slowly walked over. "Hello, Mr. Shen, the general manager would like to see you in his office," she said softly. Shen Liang's heart tightened slightly, and many reasons immediately surfaced in his mind. He was extremely nervous, but he finally knocked on the door of the general manager's office. "Please come in," the general manager's deep voice rang out in the office. When the general manager saw that it was Shen Liang, he hurriedly stood up and said with a bright smile, "Shen Liang, quickly sit." Then the general manager personally poured him a cup of good tea and said, "Come, have a cup of tea." Eagle Snova 1, SOM. The general manager personally poured tea for him. Shen Liang was flattered. "Shen Liang, I noticed you a long time ago. After all, very few young people can work so well. In addition, you also obtained good results in the last basketball game. Basketball is a sport that tests your ability to organize and coordinate. This shows that you have good leadership and coordination skills. Shen Liang, I have high hopes for you. It's really a waste for you to be in this small marketing department all the time. I've taken a look. The gaming department is lacking a supervisor. Are you interested in the role?" Shen Liang was stunned when he heard the general manager's words. He was doing his work well. Last month, he was criticized by his supervisor for his poor marketing data. Playing basketball could show his ability to organize and coordinate. Even if there was a basis to that, that had nothing to do with him, right? In that basketball game, he only played as a substitute for a few minutes and did not score a single point. Just this, it was considered a good result. When the general manager saw that Shen Liang did not reply, he could not help but say again, "Of course, if you don't like the role of a supervisor in the game department, you can choose another job." At this moment, Shen Liang finally came back to his senses and hurriedly said, "I like it, I like the job." One had to know. The gaming department was the most profitable department in Penguin Group. At the same time, it was also the department that Shen Liang wanted to enter the most. Now, not only would he be able to go to the gaming department, but he would also become a supervisor. If he rejected this, Shen Liang felt that he would regret it for the rest of his life. "That's great, you can report to the gaming department tomorrow," the general manager said. Shen Liang nodded his head happily. In his heart, he was silently thanking Lin Fan. He understood that all of this was because of Lin Fan. On the other hand, Hu Tian spent 2 days writing the solution to the Hale conjecture written by Lin Fan into a thesis. Then, under Lin Fan's name, she sent it to Annual Mathematics, one of the top 4 mathematics journals. At this time, it was dawn in America. Felder, the editor of Annual Mathematics, tossed and turned in bed, unable to fall asleep. He kept complaining, "In the future, if someone invites me for coffee at night, I'll definitely tell that person to F***ck off." Felder tried to sleep for a long time, but he did not succeed. Helpless, he finally got up and sighed. "What should I do now? Play games for a while? Forget it. I'm afraid I won't be able to sleep the entire night. Watch a movie. It would be a good thing to be with a beautiful woman." Felder thought for a moment and said, "Perhaps I should check my email. Maybe there'll be some boring submissions. Those are the best thing for hypnosis." As he spoke, he had already walked to the table and turned on his computer. "Eagle Snova 1, SOM," he even muttered, getting up to work in the middle of the night. "Is there anyone in this world who loves work more than me? Chief Editor Ryan should really give me more bonuses." As soon as Felder logged into his email, an email appeared on the bottom right corner of the screen. "Hale conjecture proof process? Someone actually sent such a manuscript. I can almost imagine the boring content inside. However, this is exactly what I want." As Felder spoke, he opened the email. At first, he only took a few casual glances. However, gradually he began to frown. Felder was the editor of Annual Mathematics, but that did not mean he knew nothing about mathematics. On the contrary, his mathematical ability and vision were even better than the average mathematics professor. "This manuscript doesn't seem so boring," Felder muttered. "Moreover, it seems to make sense." Then his gaze slowly fell on the author's name at the bottom right corner. Lin Fan from Jiangbei University. Seeing this, Felder seemed to have thought of something and his pupils shrank. Lin Fan, the Lin Fan who solved Zhou's conjecture and the twin prime number conjecture. Ordinary foreigners might not know Lin Fan. However, Lin Fan's name could be said to be famous in the mathematics world. "If it's him," Felder said, "this shouldn't be a draft that I can review. I have to pass it to Chief Editor Ryan. That way he can see that I'm still working hard in the middle of the night." Felder forwarded the email. The next morning, Chief Editor Ryan had a habit of spending an hour every morning reading through all the emails. After a while, he noticed the email that Felder forwarded. When Ryan saw the email title, he frowned and said, "Why did Felder send a submission to me? Did he have a high fever in the middle of the night?" In his opinion, as an editor of a top mathematics journal, he should have the most basic judgment. Throwing the papers that claimed to solve the Hale conjecture, Riemann's conjecture, Goldbach's conjecture, and so on into the trash without hesitation was one of the most basic judgments. Ryan did not look at the content of the thesis. Instead, he glanced at the author's name out of habit. The next moment his pupils shrank like Felder's. Lin Fan. Then Ryan's expression turned serious as he carefully flipped through the thesis with an extremely focused gaze. After a long time, he rubbed his sore eyebrows and said, "What an incredible calculation." However, whether the calculation is correct or not still needs to be verified by a great professor. "Professor Jeffrey from Princeton," Ryan muttered. "He's an expert in abstract algebra, let him do the review." Then he covered up the author's name and forwarded it to Professor Jeffrey. Then Ryan sent a message to Felder, "I've seen your hard work. This month, your bonus will be doubled." Felder, "Thank you, Chief Editor Ryan." Princeton Institute for Advanced Study in Mathematics. After a young man finished his work, he looked at Professor Jeffrey, who was almost buried in books. He asked, "Professor, you seem to have a lot of work to deal with. Do you need me to bring you a sandwich?" Jeffrey slowly raised his head and smiled. "There's never enough work to be done, but I still have to eat. I'll go eat with you." At this moment, an email popped up on Jeffrey's computer. He clicked on it. In the next moment, Jeffrey's entire body seemed to have been immobilized. He instantly stopped moving and only his eyes were fixed on the screen, staring at the series of complicated calculations. "Professor," the young man called out softly, "Professor." Jeffrey finally reacted. Oh, you'd better bring me a sandwich, I still have work to deal with." The young man complained in his heart, "Didn't you just say that you can never finish your work but you still have to eat? Why did this change in the blink of an eye?" Of course, he only dared to complain in his heart. Jeffrey had no intention of answering him. He kept staring at the screen, his face full of excitement. To Lin Fan, solving the Hale conjecture was just a simple task. He did not care about it at all, and naturally he did not pay attention to the reactions of others. When Lin Fan woke up, it was already 5 p.m. At this moment Lin Fan's phone rang. He glanced at the caller ID. It was Deng Jihu, the captain of the Jiangbei Investigation Department. Lin Fan did not hesitate and answered the call. "Mr. Lin, am I disturbing you?" Deng Jihu asked carefully. Lin Fan said, "No, I just woke up. Is there anything?" Deng Jihu said, "The person who robbed you with a knife last time has already confessed all his bad deeds. We've handed him over to the court. If nothing goes wrong, he'll be sentenced to more than 10 years. In addition, Jiangbei will be conducting a citywide crackdown for a month regarding this armed robbery. We'll strictly investigate and punish all those who engage in criminal activities. What do you think of this?" The captain of Jiangbei City's investigation team was speaking to a young man in his 20s with such respect. If others knew about this, they would definitely be shocked. Lin Fan said, "You handled it well." When Deng Jihu heard this, he was extremely happy. Then he found a topic to chat about for a while before hanging up. Lin Fan lay on the bed and casually played with his phone. Not long after, his stomach let out a soft growl. Hence, Lin Fan drove the Mercedes-Benz G-Class and found a restaurant with a better environment. He ordered black truffle egg tarts, seafood curry, caviar chocolate. He spent a total of 24,899 yuan on a simple meal before he slowly walked out. At this moment the sky had already darkened. Lin Fan raised his head and saw something not too far away. It was Jiazhu Bar, and it was flashing with dazzling neon lights. Seeing this, Lin Fan was stunned. Jiazhu Bar. Was this not the bar he had obtained today? He rubbed his slightly round belly and thought that since he had nothing to do anyway, visiting his bar would be a good way to digest his food. Even though the distance was not too far, Lin Fan still started the Mercedes-Benz and drove over. At this moment, many cars were like carps crossing the river, gathering in the parking lot of Jeju Bar. Beautiful women and handsome men with good figures stood at the door as if they were waiting for someone. When they saw handsome men and women walking out of Porsches, Ferraris, and other cars, they seemed to have finally met the person they were waiting for and quickly went up to them. Lin Fan was driving a Mercedes-Benz G that cost nearly 2 million yuan. Coupled with his tall and handsome appearance, he quickly attracted a woman with heavy makeup and revealing clothes. "Hey handsome, do you want to have a drink with me?" the woman asked. Lin Fan used his eyes of truth to take a glance. E alpha GLESN letter 1D0F new EL appearance, 70. Favorability, 50. One had to know. Lin Fan's women, such as Qin Yuxuan, Han Tian, Qiu Ziqian, and Huang Ling, which one of them was not a great beauty with a score of 90 points or above. He was used to eating delicacies, so how could he be interested in rotten vegetables? Hence Lin Fan said, "Not interested." After saying that, he walked in. The woman with heavy makeup stomped her feet in anger and said, "What are you being so cocky for? Isn't it just a Mercedes G-Class? Maybe it's even rented." Then she returned to her previous position. When Lin Fan walked into the bar, loud music echoed in his ears. Many people gathered in front of the small booth, chatting and drinking. At this moment, a waiter walked over and asked, "Sir, do you have a reservation?" Obviously, this ordinary waiter did not know that Lin Fan was his boss. Lin Fan said, "No, if there's an empty seat, help me get a better one." "All right, this way please." Soon, Lin Fan was arranged to sit in the middle of the table. It was indeed a better seat, as he said. Lin Fan nodded his head in satisfaction and said casually, "Help me get 2 bottles of golden ace of spades, some fruits and snacks." When the waiter heard this, he was extremely excited. One had to know. A bottle of golden ace of spades was worth nearly 4,000 yuan. 2 bottles, that was nearly 8,000 yuan. With some fruits and snacks, it was about 10,000 yuan. To him, this was already considered a good performance. "Okay, please wait a moment." After the waiter finished speaking, he hurriedly ran over to bring the wine and snacks over. Lin Fan poured a glass of ace of spades and took a sip. He nodded and said, "It's not bad, it's authentic." At this moment, a surprised voice suddenly sounded behind him. "Brother Lin Fan." Lin Fan turned his head slowly and said, "Tan Shengyu." "Ha ha ha, brother Lin Fan, it's really you." Tan Shengyu strode over and called out happily. The woman with the typical face of an internet celebrity beside Tan Shengyu asked, "Shengyu, who is he?" "This is brother Lin Fan, the boss of the circle of Jiangbei's rich young masters," Tan Shengyu said. "Boss more powerful than you?" the woman asked. "How can I compare to brother Lin Fan?" Tan Shengyu said. When the woman heard this, her gaze toward Lin Fan lit up. Lin Fan smiled, "Stop exaggerating." "How is that exaggerating?" Tan Shengyu asked. "This is the truth." "Brother Lin Fan, you're here for Ling Ru too, right?" Tan Shengyu asked after a pause. "Ling Ru?" Lin Fan asked curiously. "Brother Lin Fan, didn't you come to Jeju Bar for her?" Tan Shengyu asked. Lin Fan shook his head. "Before you said it, I'd never heard of this name." "So that's how it is," Tan Shengyu said. "However, brother Lin Fan, you came at the right time. I heard that Ling Ru is coming to sing today." "Ling Ru not only sings well, but she's also very beautiful." The woman with the face of an internet celebrity said, "Is she very beautiful? Is she prettier than me?" Tan Shengyu coughed lightly and said, "You're not as beautiful as her." The woman snorted. Her pretty face was still a little unhappy. "Hey hey hey." At this moment, the DJ standing in the middle of the stage of Jeju Bar suddenly picked up the microphone and said, "Let's welcome our singer today, Ling Ru, onto the stage." Suddenly, a round of applause rang out in Jeju Bar. Then, a woman with exquisite facial features, hair like a waterfall, and a voluptuous figure slowly walked onto the stage. Her skin was very fair and tender. Under the light of the bar, she looked so delicate and fragile. Seeing this, even Lin Fan, who had seen countless beauties before, was stunned. Then Lin Fan could not help but use the eyes of truth on her. Appearance 96. Favorability 30. 96 points of attractiveness. Just as Tan Shengyu had said, Ling Ru looked around the bar with her big, gem-like eyes. Then she gently opened her willow-like lips and let out a sound that sounded like the strings of a zither. Welcome to Jiazhu Bar, I'll sing content, I hope everyone will like it. As soon as she finished speaking, slightly low music immediately sounded in the bar. Then Ling Ru slowly opened her mouth. Oh, to have a rainbow, oh, to embrace the summer wind. The stars in the sky laugh at the people on the ground. I can't understand it, I can't feel that it's enough. Her voice was filled with magnetism, adding a touch of joy to the overall melody. It gave people a sense of anticipation and desire for love. After the song ended, a round of applause rang out in the bar. Brother Lin Fan, what do you think? Ling Ru is pretty, right? Tan Shengyu asked. Her singing isn't bad, right? Lin Fan nodded his head in agreement. One had to know. Lin Fan had heavenly voice. At the same time, he was proficient in cello, violin, piano, guitar. It could be said that he was an expert among experts in music. The fact that Lin Fan could acknowledge Ling Ru was enough to prove that she sang well. Next, Ling Ru sang songs like Red High Heels and prose poetry written by my father. Without exception, all the songs were sung very well. After each song ended, she received applause from many people. At this moment, Ling Ru spoke again. Next, I'll sing my original song, Sword Dance. I hope everyone will like it. The music in the bar paused for a moment. Immediately after, very lively music sounded. An original song? Tan Shengyu asked in surprise. Ling Ru actually knows how to write songs. Lin Fan's face was filled with curiosity. After the prelude, Ling Ru opened her willow-shaped lips again. The trees in the mountains form a forest, the curved stream flows, the handsome man wields a long sword and the fallen leaves don't stick to his body. As the song began, the customers in the bar who were originally chatting and drinking could not help but stop what they were doing and shut their mouths. They all focused their attention on Ling Ru and listened quietly. At this moment, they had a vague feeling that Ling Ru was not wearing a casual outfit and standing on the bar stage. Alphagals novel C. Instead, she had changed into an ancient costume and was standing in the forest, waving the sword in her hand quickly. The sword shadow was like light, the sword wind was like lightning, and the fallen leaves were like rain. Her movements were so clean, neat, elegant, and filled with endless beauty. It was utterly fascinating. Finally, Ling Ru slowly sang the last line of the lyrics. At the same time, the music in the bar gradually stopped. The next moment, the entire bar was filled with thunderous applause. Ling Ru is beautiful and has a sweet voice, Tan Shengyu exclaimed excitedly. Her original song is so good. The woman with the face of an internet celebrity said angrily, if you like her so much, then go after her. Tan Shengyu seemed to realize that the woman was still beside him. He coughed lightly and said, she's beautiful, but so are you. She's a different kind of beauty. I admire you, I like you. When the woman heard this, she revealed a satisfied expression. Then, Tan Shengyu said to Lin Fan, Brother Lin Fan, we made the right choice to come here today. To be able to create such a beautiful original song, I think she'll definitely become a big singer if she's able to hold concerts. Lin Fan nodded his head. In the next moment, a strange expression appeared on his face. That was because a crisp notification sounded out in Lin Fan's mind. Ding, if you hold a concert with more than 100,000 spectators, you'll be rewarded with 10 silver packets. Did he trigger a mission? Tan Shengyu seemed to have noticed the change in Lin Fan's expression and asked, Brother Lin Fan, what's wrong? Didn't you say that Ling Ru would become a big star if she holds a concert? Lin Fan asked. Tan Shengyu nodded in confusion and said, yeah, why? Then I'll hold one for her, Lin Fan said. Hold a concert for her, Tan Shengyu was stunned. At this moment, a series of hurried footsteps suddenly sounded from afar. A round-faced man in a suit and leather shoes walked over quickly. He bowed and said in a very respectful tone, Mr. Lin, I'm sorry, I didn't realize you were here sooner. Are you the manager of Jiazhu Bar? Lin Fan asked. Yes, the round-faced man replied even more respectfully. Today, when he suddenly found out that the bar had changed owners, he was very nervous. It was because he did not know what the new boss was like. Would he fire him and replace him with a confidant? Therefore, from morning until now, the round-faced man had a lot on his mind as he sat alone in the office. It was not until he heard Ling Ru's original song, Sword Dance, that he could not help but walk out of the office. It was also at this moment that the round-faced man suddenly discovered that his new boss was actually in the bar. This gave him a huge shock. "What's your name?" Lin Fan asked. "Li Zhuang, my name is Li Zhuang," the round-faced man said. "Manager Li, do you have a quieter place here?" Lin Fan asked. "Yes, we have a private room here, a luxurious private room," Li Zhuang said. Then under Li Zhuang's lead, Lin Fan, Tan Shengyu, and the woman quickly arrived at a spacious private room. Lin Fan said, "Can you ask Ling Ru to come?" This sentence made Li Zhuang hesitate for a moment. He said very carefully, Ling Ru could be considered a small-time singer. When she came to our bar, she announced long ago that she would only sing." Obviously, Li Zhuang had misunderstood. He thought that Lin Fan wanted Ling Ru to drink with him and even wanted to do something to her. Ling Ru was simply too beautiful. Many customers had similar thoughts about her. Furthermore, Lin Fan suddenly moved to a private room. It was no wonder Li Zhonghui thought too much. Obviously, Lin Fan understood his thoughts. Regarding this, not only was Lin Fan not angry, but he even nodded his head in satisfaction. If Ling Ru was really willing to sing with him or even do something else, Lin Fan would not have any interest in calling her over. "Don't worry and call her over, I just wish to discuss some singing matters with her," Lin Fan said. When Li Zhongyan heard this, he heaved a sigh of relief and said respectfully, "All right, I'll get Ling Ru to come over now." After Li Zhuang left, Tan Shengyu could not help but ask, "Brother Lin Fan, are you very familiar with Li Zhuang?" Lin Fan shook his head. "It's my first time seeing him too." Hearing this, Tan Shengyu's expression became even more confused. Lin Fan continued, "It's just that I'm the boss of Jiazhu Bar." Tan Shengyu knew that Lin Fan was the boss of Jiangbei's circle of rich young masters. He had even invested 1 billion yuan and successfully increased it by 4 times. Therefore, he was only a little surprised that Lin Fan was the boss of Jiazhu Bar. The expression of the woman with the internet celebrity face standing beside him was completely different. Alphagals novel C. She understood how much it would cost to open a large bar like Jiazhu in the center of Jiangbei. At this moment, Ling Ru, who had been singing on stage earlier, slowly walked in under Li Zhuang's lead. She held her phone tightly and looked at Lin Fan and the others with extreme vigilance. Obviously, she was very afraid. It was no wonder. No matter what, Ling Ru was just an ordinary woman. In front of her were 3 men, Lin Fan, Li Zhuang, and Tan Shengyu. If they had any evil intentions, it would be very terrifying. Seeing this, Lin Fan could not help but laugh. "Relax, I'm Lin Fan, I don't have any ill intentions toward you, do you want to drink something?" After hearing Lin Fan's voice, Ling Ru did not know why, but the fear in her heart immediately lessened. However, she still shook her head and said, "No, thank you." Lin Fan did not force her and nodded. "Do you have any plans for the future?" Ling Ru was stunned for a moment. She did not know why Lin Fan would ask this question. For a moment, she did not know how to answer. Lin Fan said, "Tell me more details. I think that singing in the bar is only temporary, right? Have you thought about your future plans?" Even though Ling Ru did not know why Lin Fan asked this question, she still replied, "If there's a chance, I might participate in a program like Good Song or become a music teacher." Lin Fan said, "I just heard you sing content, Red High Heels, prose poetry written by my father, as well as your original song, Sword Dance. Especially Sword Dance, the melody is light, free and easy and very enjoyable. Do you have any other original songs?" Ling Ru nodded. "I've written more than 10 songs." "Can you sing a few more songs for me?" Lin Fan asked. Ling Ru did not hesitate and replied, "Sure." After all, she had sung her original songs in Jiazhu Bar before, so there was no need to keep them a secret. Moreover, she had already found out from Li Zhuang that Lin Fan was the new boss of Jiazhu Bar. She was the resident singer of Jiazhu Bar, so she could be considered an employee. It was naturally not a problem for the boss to ask her to sing a few songs. Then Ling Ru said, "Should I sing a cappella here?" "Do you know how to play the guitar?" Lin Fan said. Ling Ru nodded. Lin Fan said to Li Zhuang, who had been standing at the side, "Manager Li, can you get me a guitar?" "All right, please wait a moment." After a while, Li Zhuang came in with a guitar. Ling Ru stretched out her slender fingers and gently plucked the strings. "This is a song I wrote in my early days. It's called The World of Man." As soon as she finished speaking, her jade-like fingers quickly fiddled with the guitar strings. Instantly, a crisp and pleasant song reverberated in the room. After about 10 minutes, Ling Ru sang a total of 4 songs. Each song had its own unique characteristics. Coupled with Ling Ru's magnetic voice, it was very pleasant to listen to. Lin Fan nodded in satisfaction. "Do you want to hold a concert?" This sudden question caused Ling Ru to be unable to react. As a result, she was unable to answer immediately. "Do you want to hold a concert?" Lin Fan asked again. At this moment, Ling Ru finally reacted and said seriously, "That's my biggest dream." After saying this, Ling Ru seemed to imagine the countless crowds below the stage. Her eyes faintly lit up. Lin Fan nodded and said, "All right, then you should get prepared. In about a week I'll hold a large-scale concert for you at the city's stadium." Everyone was stunned once again. One had to know. To hold a concert in the city stadium, just renting the venue alone would probably cost nearly 1,000,000 yuan. Moreover, the concert also required the rental of lights, sound system, and stage. These added up to millions. Just by listening to a few songs, he wanted to spend millions to hold a concert for her. Lin Fan did not bother about it and continued, "You sang the few songs just now quite well, however the best song is still Sword Dance. Perhaps you're more suited for that kind of style. Such songs should be more suitable for you to sing." As he spoke, Lin Fan picked up the guitar and slowly strummed the strings under everyone's puzzled gazes. "This is a song that I just composed. The tentative name is Galaxy." In the next moment, Lin Fan's fingers that were strumming the guitar suddenly became faster and faster. It's a clear and cloudless night. A full moon hangs in the sky. Her long clothes dance in the wind. She's as soft as feathers, as light as a swan, and as fair as jade. Originally, no one was paying much attention. However, when Lin Fan started playing the guitar and singing, everyone's faces were filled with shock and horror. Soon, it was replaced by enjoyment and fascination. Lin Fan played the guitar and sang so well. At this moment, in everyone's eyes, Lin Fan seemed to be above the boundless night sky. The full moon hung high above his head, and the white clouds under his feet formed a blanket. He casually pulled out the green dragon sword at his waist and waved it in the wind. His movements were elegant and mysterious, causing the stars in the night sky to gather into a vortex, flow into a long river, and explode into fireworks. He was an invincible sword, immortal in the world. In the end, I split apart the chaos and the universe with a single sword strike. When Lin Fan sang the last line of the song, his right hand that was strumming the guitar slowly stopped. The sound lingered and rippled. Silence. The entire luxurious private room was silent. Everyone was still immersed in the song, unable to extricate themselves. About 5 seconds later, Tan Shengyu was the first to come back to his senses and shouted excitedly, "F***CK, this is great." With his poor vocabulary, he could not describe how good it was. He could only express his admiration by saying F***CK. Sing another song, brother Lin Fan." However, Lin Fan did not do as he wished. He waved his hand and said, "Maybe next time." Then he placed the guitar on the table and said to Ling Ru, "Add this song to the concert." Ling Ru took a deep breath and slowly suppressed the excitement and admiration in her heart. All right. Earlier, she had suspected that Lin Fan was joking about the concert. However, after hearing Lin Fan sing Galaxy, she subconsciously chose to believe him. Lin Fan stayed in Jeju Bar until 10 p.m. Eagles Nova 1 SOM, then he went straight to Yaki City. Huang Ling and Qiu Ziqian, who were sitting on the sofa and watching TV, were very happy to see Lin Fan. "Darling, you came at the right time. I just bought a lot of clothes today," Qiu Ziqian said. Lin Fan could not help but reveal a puzzled look. "Bought a lot of clothes? What did this have to do with him?" She did not need to wear her clothes at night. Qiu Ziqian seemed to have noticed Lin Fan's confusion and smiled. "Nurse, female investigator, maid." When Lin Fan heard this, his heart started beating faster. Huang Ling's face turned red all the way to her neck. It was nighttime. Outside, the wind was howling and the rain was pouring, causing the entire building to shake. The next day the sky was clear. After the rain at night, the branches became extremely tender and green, and the air also had a touch of spring fragrance. Lin Fan slowly opened his eyes and looked at his phone. Notice from Merchant Bank, 3,670,000 yuan was deposited into your account. Then he turned his attention to the check-in system. Sign in. Ding, congratulations, you've obtained 5% of Alphabet's shares. Seeing this, even Lin Fan's eyes lit up. Although the time taken for Alphabet to be established was relatively short, it was one of the three giants of Hua Nation's internet industry alongside Penguin and Little Tanuki. Lin Fan already had Penguin and Little Tanuki's shares. Now he had the shares of Alphabet. In this way, he would be the common boss of the three giants of Hua Nation's internet industry. This was definitely something to be happy about. Lin Fan smiled. If that's the case, it should be even easier to complete the concert mission. Then he picked up his phone and dialed one number after another. About 20 minutes later, Lin Fan got out of bed and enjoyed the breakfast that Qiu Ziqian and Huang Ling had made. He then drove the Mercedes-Benz G-Class toward Jiangbei University. Time in the school was very relaxed and leisurely. Time flew by like water. As the school bell rang, Lin Fan, Ma Zhang, Song Yi, Zheng Jinbao, and the others slowly walked to the cafeteria as usual. They had just finished queuing up to get their food. At this moment, the phone in Lin Fan's pocket vibrated. 1200. The red packets were here. Ding, congratulations, you've received 88 yuan. Ding, congratulations, you've received 9 yuan. Ding, congratulations, you've received 6,666 yuan. Ding, congratulations, you've received 20,000 yuan. Lin Fan tapped on the screen and received a total of 50,321 yuan. He did not care about it at all and threw his phone back into his pocket. Then he picked up his chopsticks and started eating leisurely. After the meal, Lin Fan lay on the bed and fell asleep. Meanwhile, in the girls' dormitory of Jiangbei University, Song Jiaxin sat by the window, reading a management book seriously. Just as Song Jiaxin said, she chose mathematics purely out of interest. However, as the daughter of the Song family, she naturally could not just consider her interests. She also needed to have the corresponding management ability. Otherwise, after she graduated and started a company or became a president or CEO, it would be very easy for the company to have problems. Therefore, in her spare time, Song Jiaxin would read some books on management and economics. In many people's eyes, they always felt that rich kids only knew how to eat, drink, and play. However, they did not know that many rich kids worked harder than they imagined. At this moment, the phone next to Song Jiaxin vibrated slightly. She casually glanced at the screen and realized that someone in the future group had sent a message. Tan Shengyu, brother Lin Fan can actually sing. Liu Yuhang, you heard brother Lin Fan sing, was it nice? Tan Shengyu said, it can't even be described as pleasant to the ears. It was simply too good, I swear that was definitely the best song I've ever heard in my life. Seeing this, even Song Jiaxin could not help but be interested. She quickly sent a message. Song Jiaxin, what song did Lin Fan sing? Tan Shengyu Galaxy, that's right, that's the name. Sun Luguo Galaxy, I don't think I've heard this song before. Zhang Bin, I haven't heard of it either. Tan Shengyu, of course, you guys haven't heard it. It's a song that brother Lin Fan composed himself on the spot. Liu Yuhang was speechless. brother Lin Fan could write songs. Tan Shengyu said, it's more than just writing songs. Moreover, brother Lin Fan knows how to play the guitar. The way he played and sang was simply amazing. When Song Jiaxin read this, her eyes lit up. It was as if she could already see the scene of Lin Fan playing the guitar and singing. Tan Shengyu said, oh right, brother Lin Fan is planning to hold a concert at the city stadium. Liu Yuhang, brother Lin Fan's concert, tell me when. Tan Shengyu, it's not brother Lin Fan's concert, but he's planning to hold a concert for a resident singer in Jiazhu Bar. Tan Shengyu, that singer's singing is pretty good too. Oh right, when the time comes, she'll also sing the song Galaxy that's written by brother Lin Fan. Liu Yuhang, no matter what, I must support brother Lin Fan's concert. Duankayan, that's right. Sun Luguo holding a concert for the resident singer in a stadium. Is brother Lin Fan preparing to enter the entertainment industry? Liu Yuhang, entertainment industry, this is not a bad idea. Zhang Bin, brother Lin Fan is holding a concert at the city stadium. This isn't a small event. However, since brother Lin Fan wants to do it, we have to help him promote it. Zhang Bin, by the way, when is brother Lin Fan going to hold his concert? Tan Shengyu, brother Lin Fan said a week later. Zhang Bin, a week, it's a little short. I don't think I've seen any publicity for the concert. Tan Shengyu, it's normal that you haven't seen anything because brother Lin Fan only decided to hold a concert yesterday. At this moment, a message popped up in everyone's WeChat news. Free tickets on February 29th at 8 o'clock sharp, a mysterious and grand concert will be held in Jiangbei City Stadium. When everyone saw this message, they were all stunned. The future group, which was bustling with activity, only resumed after a while. Zhang Bin, did you guys just receive the news on WeChat? Duan Kaiyan, I did. On February 29th at 8 o'clock sharp, a mysterious and grand concert will be held in Jiangbei City Stadium. Could this be the concert that brother Lin Fan is going to hold? Sun Luguo, a week later is the 29th. It should be. I didn't expect brother Lin Fan to have such a deep relationship with Penguin Group. Liu Yuhang, no wonder so many directors of internet companies came to greet brother Lin Fan at the Imperial Hotel. Tan Shengyu, brother Lin Fan is too awesome to get Penguin Group to help promote the concert. Sun Luguo, Liu Yuhang, Tan Shengyu, Duan Kaiyan and the others in the future group were all from Jiangbei. There were even a few rich young masters from Jiang province. However, even if they wanted to get Penguin Group to help promote an event, it would be very difficult. Lin Fan decided to hold a concert yesterday and Penguin Group helped to promote it this afternoon. This kind of efficiency was simply terrifying. No wonder they could not help but exclaim. Just as they were exclaiming in amazement, their phones vibrated slightly, and a piece of news popped up in the UA browser. Shocking, Jiangbei City Stadium is actually doing such a thing. The time is. Everyone was curious and slowly clicked on it. A mysterious and grand concert is about to be held at Jiangbei City Stadium. Free tickets will be given and the entire city is thrilled. It'll be held on February 29th, 8 o'clock sharp. Don't miss the excitement. The originally lively future group fell silent again. A moment later, a new message appeared. Duan Kaiyan asked, do you have the UA browser installed? Zhang Bin, are you referring to the news that popped up in the UA browser just now? Duan Kaiyan, yes. Duan Kaiyan, the UA browser is actually helping to promote it. The UA browser seems to belong to little Tanuki, right? Sun Luguo, brother Lin Fan is really amazing to get little Tanuki Group and Penguin Group to help promote the concert. Liu Yuhang, of course. Tan Shengyu, brother Lin Fan, you're awesome, you are my idol forever. At this moment, everyone's cell phones vibrated slightly. A piece of news popped up on today's headlines. Notification: on February 29th at 8 o'clock sharp, a mysterious and grand concert will be held in Jiangbei City Stadium. The tickets are free. After this piece of news appeared, the future group fell silent again. After a long time, someone slowly sent out a message. Zhang Bin, did you guys receive the pop-up message from today's headlines? Duan Kaiyan F***CK. Today's headlines are also promoting the concert. Zhang Bin, is this really the concert that brother Lin Fan is holding? Silence. The future group fell silent again. Even Sun Luguo and Liu Yuheng, who knew a little about Lin Fan's identity, hesitated. In fact, when they saw the UA browser promotion, they were already hesitant. That was right. Was this a concert that Lin Fan was going to hold? If Penguin Group was the only company that helped with the promotion, it would still be within their understanding. Now it was the three magnates promoting it at the same time. Furthermore, Tan Shengyu had just said that Lin Fan had only decided to hold a concert yesterday. In just one day, the three magnates had all made a move. This kind of situation seemed to only appear when something major happened in the country, right? This was a last-minute concert. Lin Fan naturally did not know how the crowd was reacting. He was sleeping soundly in the dormitory. About an hour later, he slowly opened his eyes. Lin Fan first glanced around the dormitory. Ma Zhang was quietly flipping through a book. Zhang Jinbao was sitting in front of the computer and reading very attentively. Song Yi was lying on the bed and playing with his phone silently. At this moment, Lin Fan's phone rang. Eagles Nova 1, SOM. It turned out to be a call from Jiangbei's leader, Jiao Yang. Brother Lin, am I disturbing your rest? Jiao Yang asked. Lin Fan said, no, I was already awake. That's good. Well, Brother Lin, you told me this morning that you were going to rent the city stadium for a concert on the 29th. Do you need crowd control measures? Jiao Yang asked. Jiao Yang knew Lin Fan's identity very well. Jiao Yang had always wanted to build a good relationship with him. When Lin Fan said that he wanted to rent the city stadium for a concert on the 29th, Jiao Yang agreed without hesitation. In Jiao Yang's opinion, even if Lin Fan wanted to invite a big star over, it would not be a problem. After all, it was not like Jiangbei City Stadium had not held similar events before. However, he did not expect that this afternoon WeChat, UA browser and today's headlines were all promoting the free concert at Jiangbei City Stadium. Free and mysterious. These two words had always been the most attractive. The news through WeChat, UA browser and today's headlines would probably be seen by hundreds of millions of people. When Jiao Yang saw the pop-ups, he was shocked. He was surprised that Lin Fan had such a great ability to get little Tanuki, Penguin and Alphabet to help him promote the event. Jiao Yang was worried again. He could almost imagine how many people would gather on the night of the 29th. Too many people meant danger. If there was a stampede, it would definitely be very terrifying. Lin Fan understood Jiao Yang's worries and said, later on, I'll give you 100,000 free tickets. Only those with tickets can enter the stadium. 100,000? Our stadium only has 60,000 seats, Jiao Yang said. Then 60,000 tickets for inside the museum and 40,000 tickets for outside the museum, Lin Fan said. Jiao Yang was slightly stunned. Outside, can the audience see anything? Even though he was knowledgeable, he had never heard of an audience watching a concert outside the venue. It's okay, I'll put up the display screen when the time comes, Lin Fan said. The concert, a display screen. Jiao Yang opened his mouth as if he wanted to say something. As long as Lin Fan was willing to limit the number of people, it would be fine. Besides, it was a problem whether those who managed to snatch the tickets would go. Jiao Yang could not help but sigh. When a melodious bell rang, it indicated that today's class was over. Many students stretched or yawned as they got up and prepared to walk out. At this moment, Song Jiaxin suddenly came in front of Lin Fan and said, Lin Fan, how about we have a meal together later? Song Yi, Zheng Jinbao, Ma Zhang, and the others felt like they had eaten lemons. A few days ago, teacher Tianxian asked Lin Fan to go to her office. Now, the famous ice beauty in the class had taken the initiative to invite Lin Fan for a meal. Why did no beautiful women invite them? Facing Song Jiaxin's invitation, Lin Fan did not hesitate at all and replied, sure. Then, under the envious gazes of all the students, Lin Fan and Song Jiaxin walked. A 2-star Michelin restaurant in F Nation was located on the 37th floor of Beijia building. Warm gemstone lamps, leather and solid wood tables and chairs, wool rugs, and endless floor-to-ceiling windows. It gave people the feeling of being in a palace at the top of the clouds, and it was extremely enjoyable. Lin Fan and Song Jiaxin had just walked in when a waiter asked respectfully, "Good evening, sir and madam. Do you have an appointment?" "My surname is Song and I reserved table number 9, Song Jiaxin said. When the waiter heard this, the respect on his face became even more prominent. One had to know. It was very difficult to reserve a table at M Plus restaurant, especially table number 9. This was because table number 9 was located in the middle of the French window. One could see the scenery outside without looking up. At the same time, one could also enjoy the best service in the restaurant. Ordinary people could not make a reservation at all. One had to have a certain identity and status. After Lin Fan and Song Jiaxin sat down, the waiter took out a thick and generous menu and said, "Respected madam and sir, what can I do for you?" Song Jiaxin casually flipped through the menu and said to Lin Fan, "The foie gras and cheese snails here taste pretty good. Do you want a serving?" Lin Fan said, "If even you think it's good, then it must be delicious." Lin Fan was not flattering her with these words. After all, Song Jiaxin was the daughter of the Song family and had tasted countless delicacies since she was young. How could the taste of a dish that even she approved of be bad? Song Jiaxin had heard similar words countless times. However, not only did it fail to make her happy every time, but it also made Song Jiaxin feel a little disgusted. However, when she heard Lin Fan's words, Song Jiaxin's lips curled up slightly, revealing a sweet smile. She said, "Is that so? I'll help you order then." "That's great," Lin Fan said. After all, ordering food was sometimes a very troublesome thing. Song Jiaxin said, "Then give me 2 servings of foie gras, 1 serving of cheese snails, 2 medium M5 steaks and dry-fried flatfish, 2 desserts and a bottle of 10-year-old Romanée Conti. That's all for now." The waiter respectfully took the menu and said, "Yes, ma'am, sir, please wait a moment." M Plus restaurant was very efficient. Not long after, different types of exquisite desserts were served. After the appetizers were finished, the foie gras, cheese snails, pan-fried flatfish, M5 steak and other dishes were served one after another. The foie gras was tender and smooth without a trace of a fishy smell. The cheese snails were soft and fragrant while the dried fried flatfish was crispy. Each dish had its own characteristics and was very delicious. Lin Fan could not help but nod. When Song Jiaxin saw this, a smile appeared on her pretty face. She raised her wine glass and said, "Cheers." "Cheers," Lin Fan said. E alpha G L E S N letter 1D0F nu EL, the 2 high-heeled glasses clinked lightly in the air, producing a crisp and ethereal sound. Lin Fan first placed the red wine by his nose and sniffed it gently. He roughly sensed the fragrance of Romanée Conti. Then he swayed the glass gently, allowing the fragrance of the wine to spread. Lin Fan took a sip of the red wine and allowed it to flow down his throat into his stomach. "When the red wine enters my mouth, it's as if a veil has brushed across my throat. The taste is full, sweet, and complete. The taste of Romanée Conti is indeed not bad," Lin Fan nodded. This scene. Song Jiaxin saw everything. Her gem-like eyes faintly reflected a trace of light as she praised, "If you didn't have the face of someone from Hua Nation, I would have thought you were a noble or prince from some European country. I really want to meet your parents and ask them how they taught you to be so outstanding." Lin Fan said, "Then I guess I'll have to disappoint you. They're all very ordinary." The two of them chatted as they ate, relaxed and satisfied. By the time they had eaten their fill and arrived downstairs, the sky had already turned completely dark. Looking into the distance, the lights were shining like stars. It was very beautiful. Song Jiaxin smiled and asked, "I heard you can sing." Lin Fan thought for a moment and knew where Song Jiaxin heard about it. "Yes." "Then can you sing it for me?" Song Jiaxin asked again. "You want me to sing here?" Lin Fan asked. Song Jiaxin pointed at the guitar shop not far away and said, "Let's go there." The spacious and bright guitar shop had all kinds of guitars. Lin Fan casually picked one up and plucked the strings. Hearing the crisp sound, he asked, "What song do you want to listen to?" "Galaxy," Song Jackson said. Lin Fan nodded his head. Then he quickly plucked the strings with both hands. The light and hurried music immediately rippled through the guitar shop. In the next moment, Lin Fan opened his mouth. It's a clear and cloudless night. A full moon hangs in the sky, her long clothes dance in the wind. She's as soft as feathers, as light as a swan, and as fair as jade. Lin Fan, who was drinking earlier, was like a noble or a prince. Now that he was singing, he was like a sword immortal who roamed the universe. He had an outstanding bearing and was mesmerizing. Perhaps it was because she had just drunk some red wine, but Song Jaekson's pretty face gradually blushed. In the end, I split apart the chaos and the universe with a single sword strike. Finally, Lin Fan finished singing the last line. His hands that were playing the guitar gradually stopped. The boss, who had been standing not far away, could not help but applaud and praise. The singing was really good and the playing was also very good. "You flatter me," said Lin Fan. Song Jaekson, who was a little intoxicated by the song, slowly came back to her senses when she heard the conversation between the two of them. She said, "You're too humble. This is indeed a very nice song." Lin Fan smiled. "Really, actually this song is more suitable for women to sing. If you have time, you can go to the concert on the 29th. Then I'll be waiting to receive a ticket from you," Song Jaekson said. "All right," Lin Fan said. Then the two left the guitar shop and headed toward Jeongbei University. Along the way, Lin Fan and Song Jaekson chatted non-stop and laughed from time to time. After entering the campus, their shadows were long under the illumination of the lights. Not long after, they arrived at the dormitory. "Then I'll go up first," Song Jaekson said. Although she said that, a different look appeared in her eyes. Lin Fan was all too familiar with this expression. He had seen it on teacher Tianchen, Chu Yunyu, Qiu Ziqian, Huang Ling, Zia Zhu, Zia Bing, and the others. Lin Fan could not help but use the eyes of truth on Song Jaekson. Appearance 95. Favorability 89. 89 points in favorability. This was a good impression. According to Lin Fan's experience, once the favorability reached 90 and above, they could become a couple. In the next few days, Lin Fan would occasionally return to the coiling dragon villa to sleep and water the spiritual tea seeds. It had to be said that the spiritual tea was indeed spiritual tea. The plants were growing at a speed that was visible to the naked eye. Right now, the spiritual tea had already grown up to Lin Fan's calf. Furthermore, they had sprouted green leaves. At this rate, it would not be long before this place would become a dense tea plantation. Of course, Lin Fan spent most of his time in school experiencing the leisurely life of a student. In the blink of an eye, it was the afternoon of February 28th. Lin Fan, Song Yi, Ma Zhong, and Zheng Jinbao came to the classroom and found seats at the back. "Do you guys know that there will be a concert at the city stadium tomorrow?" Ma Zhong asked. "How could I not know?" Zheng Jinbao asked. "In the past few days, WeChat, Today's Headlines, and UA Browser have been releasing pop-up messages every 3 to 5 days. When I received a parcel from Shenzhen Express yesterday, I realized that the box was also printed with an advertisement promoting the concert. There are also the LED display screens at the Imperial Hotel, Feiyang Building, Kaiyankun Building, and so on. They were all publicizing the concert. Oh right, it's also trending on Weibo today." "Which celebrity do you think is going to perform at this concert?" Ma Zhong asked. Zheng Jinbao rubbed his chin and said like a wise man, "Many people on the internet say that it's Zhou Lun and Chen Zun. However, according to my speculation, it's more likely that it's a group." "A group?" Ma Zhong asked, puzzled. "Let's not talk about Weibo, Shenzhen Express, the Imperial Hotel, Feiyang Building, and so on," Zheng Jinbao said. "You should know which companies WeChat, Today's Headlines, and UA Browser are under, right? Behind them are Penguin Group, Alphabet, and Little Tanuki. Would the three giants promote a concert like that? Unless the singer is the boss of the big three." When Lin Fan heard this, his face could not help but reveal a look of shock. However, the singer was not the boss of the big three. The boss of the singer was the boss of the three big shots. Zheng Jinbao watched live broadcasts on the computer every day. Lin Fan used to think that he only had female streamers in his heart. He did not expect him to have such a strong analytical ability. Zhang Jinbao saw that Lin Fan was also attracted by his words. He could not help but push up the black-rimmed glasses on his nose bridge, revealing a hint of wisdom. There's only one answer: this is a charity concert for all the stars. The Big Three and Shunshun Express are supporting public welfare. That's why they're working so hard to promote it. When Lin Fan heard this, his lips twitched. As expected, Zhang Jinbao only had those beautiful streamers in his heart. Alphagals novel C. Ma Zhang scratched the back of his head as if he was considering the possibility of Zhang Jinbao's words. Song Yi, who was beside him, said nonchalantly, whether it's a group of stars or any other celebrities, they've never done so much publicity before. It must be very lively. Besides, it's free. We have to go and take a look. As he spoke, he took out 2 tickets from his pocket. You actually got 2 tickets, Zhang Jinbao exclaimed. Which zone, what number? Zone C 933 and 934, Song Yi said proudly. Zone C number 900, those seats are very close to the front, Ma Zhang said in surprise. One had to know. A total of 100,000 tickets were distributed for this concert. Among them, there were 60,000 on-site tickets and 40,000 off-site tickets. The 60,000 tickets were divided into 10 sections, each with 6,000 seats. It was very difficult to get tickets to the venue. It was even more difficult to get the first 1,000 seats. That's right, Song Yi said proudly. Ma Zhang said, Song Yi has 2 tickets. We have to think of a way to snatch 2 more. This way we can all go to the concert together. Song Yi coughed and said, well, you should have said so earlier. I've already promised to give a ticket to a beauty from the finance department. Zhang Jinbao spat lightly. So you chose hoes before bros. Ma Zhang, if you want to watch the concert, I'll help you get tickets tonight. Lin Fan listened to their conversation and smiled. There's no need to fight. I have some tickets. If the 2 of you want to go tomorrow, I'll help you register your information, and all you need to do to get into the venue is swipe your ID card. Brother Lin Fan, you're the best, Zhang Jinbao said excitedly. Thank you, Brother Lin Fan, Ma Zhang said happily. Then Lin Fan said to Song Yi, what about you? Do you want me to help you register your information? Song Yi hesitated and said, ooh, forget it. I've already agreed to go to the concert with that girl from the finance department. Lin Fan nodded his head nonchalantly. After the bell rang, the afternoon class officially began. Time in the classroom always flowed as fast as water. Almost as soon as Lin Fan closed his eyes, the bell rang. After Lin Fan had his dinner, he drove his Mercedes-Benz G-Class straight to the coiling Dragon Villa complex. He first watered the spiritual tea plants. Looking at the green sprouts, he felt refreshed. Then Lin Fan lay on a leather sofa and opened WeChat. Qin Yuxuan had been very busy recently. Moreover, she was in Madu, so it was not suitable for her to come and watch the concert. His younger sister Lin Xiao was now in her 3rd year of high school. It would not be long before the college entrance examination, so it was not suitable for her to come to the concert either. When he went to Yiki City the day before yesterday, he had already told Huang Ling and Qiu Ziqian about the concert. When he met teacher Tianxian at school yesterday, he also told her about the concert. Chu Yunyu found out about the concert from Feiyang Building and had already expressed her intention to go. Lin Fan kept scrolling through WeChat and soon, his gaze landed on Han Tian's name. Lin Fan, I'm organizing a concert. Do you want to go over tomorrow? Han Tian, tomorrow? Are you saying that the mysterious concert at the city stadium is organized by you? Lin Fan replied, yes. Han Tian, oh my god, I'll go, I want to go. Then Lin Fan's gaze fell on Zia Zhu and Zia Bing's WeChat chat boxes. Lin Fan, are you going to the city stadium to watch the concert tomorrow? Jiangbei University, female dormitory. Zia Zhu and Zia Bing, the 2 doll-like girls, were sitting at the table obediently and reading very seriously. At this moment their phones vibrated slightly, and a WeChat message popped up. Beautiful young lady Yan, sisters, have you eaten? Zia Zhu and Zia Bing, we've eaten. Beautiful young lady Yan, have you been drinking enough water? Zia Zhu and Zia Beng. Beautiful young lady Yan, cough, cough, cough. All right, I just wanted to say that tomorrow's concert will be very exciting. Are you really not going to attend it? Zia Zhu and Zia Bing, we have a competition in a few days. We have to study, so we won't be attending the concert, Mom. Beautiful young lady Yan, who's your mother? What mother? I've said it many times, call me sister. Beautiful young lady Yan, did you hear that? Call her sister. However, Zia Zhu and Zia Bing did not care at all. They turned their attention back to their books and thought to themselves, will he participate in this competition? At this time, Zia Zhu and Zia Bing's mobile phones vibrated again, and another WeChat message popped up. In the past, Zia Zhu and Zia Bing were not too enthusiastic about competitions. Only when the teacher informed them to participate were they forced to register. However, since the National Mathematical Modeling Competition last year, they had been looking forward to competitions. It meant that Lin Fan might participate. They would have more time to spend with Lin Fan. Every time Zia Zhu and Zia Bing recalled the National Mathematical Modeling Competition and how they had designed models with Lin Fan and solved problems, a sweet smile would appear on their pretty faces. Therefore, not long ago when Zia Zhu and Zia Bing learned that there was another competition, they did not hesitate and chose to sign up directly. After signing up, they began to study very hard. Zia Zhu and Zia Bing's thoughts were very simple. If Lin Fan also signed up, then they definitely could not drag him down. At this moment, their phones vibrated again. They thought it was another message from their mother. Therefore, they did not look at their phones immediately. However, when they flipped through their books, they inadvertently glanced at their phone screens from the corners of their eyes. It would not have mattered if they did not look at the message, but after looking at it, it was as if their entire bodies had been frozen. They were completely motionless. Had they stopped moving? No. Zia Zhu and Zia Bing were still moving. Their already beautiful eyes were constantly shaking with gorgeous light. A WeChat message had popped up on their phone screens. Lin Fan, are you going to the city stadium to watch the concert tomorrow? In the next moment, Zia Zhu and Zia Bing could not wait to pick up their phones. Their fair jade-like fingers pounced on the screens. One heard the crisp sound of their slender fingers colliding with the screen. After a while, a long paragraph appeared on their screens. The two of them read the words carefully and muttered in low voices, "It seems a little long-winded." Then without hesitation, they deleted all the words. The two's fair and tender fingers jumped rapidly on their phone screens again. This was repeated 4 times. Zia Zhu and Zia Bing finally replied to the same message. Zia Zhu and Zia Bing, we want to go. Lin Fan, alright, send me your ID number then. Lin Fan, forget it, I'll bring you guys over tomorrow. He would fetch them for the concert. Zia Zhu's and Zia Bing's hearts almost jumped out of their throats. At the same time, they were afraid that if they were too slow, Lin Fan would misunderstand. Thus, their fingers danced on the screen like phantoms. Zia Zhu and Zia Bing, MHM. Lin Fan, it's already quite late, rest early, good night. Zia Zhu and Zia Bing, good night. The conversation between the three of them ended here. It was very short. Zia Zhu and Zia Bing did not put down their phones. They looked at the short conversation and their faces were full of smiles. They treated their phones like a treasure and hugged them tightly in their arms, allowing their body temperature to heat up the phones. That night, Zia Zhu and Zia Bing were lying on the bed. The smiles on their pretty faces did not disappear even for just a moment. There was no sleep for them tonight. Compared to the sleepless twin beauties, Lin Fan slept very comfortably today. He almost snored as soon as he lay down. The next day the sky was clear and the sun was warm. Lin Fan slowly climbed up from the soft bed. As usual, he glanced at his phone. Notice from Merchant Bank, 3,570,000 yuan was deposited into your account. He chose to ignore this kind of information that he saw every day. Sign in. Ding, congratulations, you've received 10 million yuan. Lin Fan complained, it's another 10 million, can't I get something else? He shook his head and slowly got up from the bed. After washing up, he took out the Wagyu beef sandwich, lobster burger, and high-end milk that he bought from the two-star Michelin restaurant yesterday for a total of 3,888 yuan from the refrigerator. It was a simple breakfast. Then Lin Fan lay on the leather sofa and played with his phone. He was very calm and relaxed. His life was peaceful in Jiangbei, however, near Jiangbei City Stadium, it was the complete opposite. Waves of noisy honking rang out endlessly, and dense rows of vehicles were blocking the road. "What happened today? Why is it so congested?" a passenger in a taxi asked in confusion. The driver looked at the passenger strangely and asked, "You don't know?" "Know what?" the passenger asked. "Are you a foreigner? It's either that or you haven't watched the news for a long time, right? Jiangbei City Stadium is holding a concert today." At this point the driver could not help but reveal a look of anticipation. "Isn't the concert starting at 8 o'clock in the evening? Why is it congested now?" "A lot of people are worried that the traffic will get worse at night," the driver smiled. E alpha GLESN letter 1D0F new EL. As the driver said, many people were worried about the traffic jam at night. Therefore they rushed to the stadium early. Some people who had planned to go to the stadium later were worried that the traffic would get worse at night when they saw the traffic jam start so early. Therefore they also left early. Gradually, the roads around the stadium became even more congested. Naturally, Lin Fan had no idea about all of this. When he was hungry, he would ask the Michelin restaurant to send him some food. When he was thirsty, he would take out a bottle of Kobe mineral water from the refrigerator. He lay on the sofa and spent the day leisurely. Lin Fan looked out the window at the sky that was gradually darkening and muttered, "I almost forgot that the concert is today. It should be about time. I should go to the stadium." As soon as he finished speaking, Lin Fan strode out. At this moment, two pilots were standing in front of the MD-902 private helicopter in the villa, their faces full of excitement. It was not like they had not flown a helicopter before. However, they mostly flew small helicopters such as the Rotway A600 and the Schwarzer 300C. Compared to the MD-902, the difference was like comparing a Santana and a Lamborghini. Forget about flying the MD-902, even if they were to see it. After all, they had only seen it in magazines. It felt like they had been driving a Santana for many years and were suddenly given a Lamborghini. No wonder the two of them were so excited. When the two pilots saw Lin Fan, they quickly said, "Hello, Mr. Lin." Lin Fan nodded. "Hello, let's go now. Let's go to Jiangbei University first." Firstly, he had expected that there would be a traffic jam today. Secondly, a helicopter would be helpful during the concert. That was why Lin Fan had transferred two pilots from Zia Airlines. "Yes, sir," the two pilots said in unison. With a violent rumble, MD-902 gradually rose into the air and sped away. Before long, it turned into a small black dot in the air. Jiangbei University, downstairs of the girls' dormitory. Zia Bing and Zia Zhu had been standing under the big tree in front of the dormitory since morning. Their two pairs of bright eyes were always silently watching the distance. Their eyes were filled with anticipation. At this moment, their roommate, Zhao Nai, who had just returned from outside, walked forward in surprise and said, "Zia Bing, Zia Zhu, why are you still here? Could it be that you've been standing here since this morning?" Although Zia Bing and Zia Zhu were introverted and they rarely talked to their roommates, Zhao Nai could easily feel that the two of them were very kind. Therefore, she was very willing to be friends with them. Zia Bing and Zia Zhu did not like to lie, so they said truthfully, "Yes, that's right." E alpha GLESN letter 1D0F new EL, what are you waiting here for? Have you had dinner? Zhao Nai asked. Zia Bing and Zia Zhu said, "Not yet." "Not yet? Wait, you haven't even eaten lunch yet, have you?" Zhao Nai asked again. Zia Bing and Zia Zhu nodded in embarrassment. "What?" Zhao Nai immediately widened her eyes and shouted, "What are you doing? Hurry up and eat." Zia Bing and Zia Zhu hesitated. We're waiting for someone." "Who is it? Why are you waiting like this? You've already waited for a day. No matter who it is, it's not worth it to wait for them like this," Zhao Nai shouted. After saying that, she was about to forcefully drag the two of them to the cafeteria. At this moment, there was a sudden sound in the distance. Then a cool-looking helicopter appeared above the school. This scene attracted the attention of many people. F*CK, it's a helicopter. A helicopter actually came to our school. So cool. While many people were looking up at the sky and discussing, a rope ladder descended from the helicopter. Then a tall and handsome figure slowly climbed down the rope ladder. It was Lin Fan. Seeing this, Xia Bing and Xia Zhu seemed to see a hot sun that was constantly approaching them, completely illuminating their eyes. Their faces became extremely bright. Lin Fan smiled and said, "You must have waited for a long time." Xia Bing and Xia Zhu shook their heads repeatedly. Then they seemed to have thought of something and quickly handed Lin Fan a bottle of energy drink each from their small backpacks. Regarding this, Lin Fan was already used to it. He took the energy drinks and drank a mouthful from each bottle. After Xia Bing and Xia Zhu saw it, the joy on their faces became even greater. Lin Fan said, "Let's go." At this moment, Zhao Nai, who had been standing at the side without saying a word, shouted, "Leave! Do you know that Xia Bing and Xia Zhu have been waiting for you here for an entire day? They haven't even eaten lunch or dinner yet. You still have the face to ask them to leave with you. Don't think you're so great just because you have money." Zhao Nai was also shocked by the helicopter in the sky. Thus, she was not able to rebuke Lin Fan immediately. Lin Fan was shocked. "What, have you been waiting here for a day?" Xia Bing and Xia Zhu lowered their heads like children who had done something wrong. Lin Fan looked at their tired faces and thought. He could not help but recall how they had waited for him on the basketball court every day, and his heart ached slightly. He reached out and gently stroked their heads. "Don't be so silly in the future." Xia Bing and Xia Zhu nodded in enjoyment. After a pause, Lin Fan said, "It's my fault. I didn't say when I would pick you up yesterday." "All right, let's go eat now." Xia Bing and Xia Zhu said obediently, "Okay." Then Lin Fan said to Zhao Nai, "Do you want to go with us? We're going to the concert later." Although Zhao Nai's tone just now was very impolite and it could even be said to be a reprimand, Lin Fan was not angry. It was because he understood that Zhao Nai treated Xia Bing and Xia Zhu really well. Therefore, he had a good impression of her. Zhao Nai seemed to realize that she seemed to have misunderstood something. She could not help but stutter, I've already eaten, so I won't go." Lin Fan did not force her. He said goodbye and entered the helicopter with Xia Bing and Xia Zhu using the rope ladder. To the Imperial Hotel. "Yes," the two pilots replied. Rumbled. After a loud noise, the helicopter sped into the distance and stopped steadily at the landing point on the top floor of the Imperial Hotel. Under the lead of the attendant who was already waiting on the top floor, Lin Fan and the rest quickly arrived at the VIP room. At this moment, the table was already filled with sumptuous dishes. Lin Fan personally scooped 2 bowls of soup and handed them to Xia Bing and Xia Zhu. "You haven't eaten all day. Have a bowl of soup to warm your stomachs first." Xia Bing and Xia Zhu were like chicks pecking at rice as they kept nodding. The bowl of soup was quickly finished. Then Lin Fan picked up some noodles for them and said, "Eat some more noodles to replenish your energy." While Xia Bing and Xia Zhu were eating, there were already countless people standing around the Jiangbei City Stadium. In order to prevent any accidents, police cars, fire engines, and ambulances were lined up on the side. Standing at the entrance were men in suits and leather shoes. Some were bald, some had a buzz cut, and some had tattoos on their bodies. They exclaimed, "I've never seen such a big scene. Brother Wang, your boss is amazing." "He's amazing." The manager of Flying Dragon Security Company, Wang Xingli, said proudly, "Of course." In the past, Wang Xingli knew that Lin Fan was different. Now he was even more impressed by Lin Fan. Immediately after, Wang Xingli said seriously, "As you can see, there are a lot of people here tonight. Later, you must make sure that order is maintained. Don't let any accidents happen." Today, Wang Xingli transferred hundreds of security guards from Flying Dragon Security Company. However, to be on the safe side, he called some other people over to help. Brother Wang, don't worry, there won't be any problems. The bald man in the suit said, if anything happens to the area I'm in charge of, you can kick my head like a ball. That's right. Me too. The others echoed. If there's a chance in the future, I'll let you meet my boss. Wang Xingli nodded in satisfaction. When everyone heard this, they all revealed an unconcealable excitement. In their opinion, a person who could host such a grand concert was definitely a top-notch existence. If they could meet, it would definitely be a great thing. Thank you, Brother Wang, everyone said in unison. All right, it's about time. You can let the audience in slowly. All right, we'll go and arrange it now. Soon, there were long lines at the 10 side doors of the Jiangbei City Stadium. Under the protection of many security guards, even though the stadium had 10 side doors, there were 100,000 spectators for this concert. It would still take a long time for everyone to enter. Song Yi swiped his ticket and went through a strict security check before finding his seat. I'm finally in. Next to him, a girl named Gao Lanwen, who scored about 80 points in appearance, looked at the dark shadows in the stadium and sighed, there are too many people. I don't know if Huan and the others have come in. As she spoke, she could not help but look into the distance, trying to find her friends. Use this. Song Yi took out the binoculars that he had prepared earlier and said. You even brought binoculars, Gao Lanwen exclaimed in surprise. This will allow us to see more clearly, Song Yi smiled. I remember Liu Huan and the others are in the 4,000+ seats in Zone E, right? It should be behind that direction. Gao Lanwen looked in the direction Song Yi was pointing at. Sure enough, she soon saw her friends. She could not help but wave and shout at them. However, how could the other party hear her voice from such a distance? Song Yi looked at Gao Lanwen's cute face and was fascinated. Then he raised his head and looked into the distance as if he was looking for something, but he did not find anything. I don't know where Ma Zhong and the others are, forget it, I'll just ask them. As he spoke, Song Yi took out his phone and quickly sent a message to the 104 roommate group. Song Yi, Ma Zhong, have you entered the stadium? Ma Zhong, we're coming in. Zhang Jinbao, Song Yi, do you know where we're sitting? Our seats are VIP 196 and VIP 197, which are in the middle of the VIP area. Zhang Jinbao, the chairs here are all real leather sofas, can you believe it? Song Yi was speechless, really. Zhang Jinbao, do you think I'm lying? Then Song Yi took the binoculars from Gao Lanwen and looked at the VIP area. He saw a chubby man with a round face waving his hand in his direction. Alphagal Snovel C. If this person was not Zhang Jinbao, then who was he? Song Yi slowly put down his binoculars and said regretfully, if I had known earlier, I would have asked Brother Lin Fan to help get me seats. At this moment, Gundong Entertainment's music director Zhao Peng and deputy director Zhang Ziohai also lined up to enter the stadium. Zhang Ziohai looked at the densely packed figures and said, there are so many people. Zhao Peng said, that's normal. After all, WeChat UA browser and today's headlines have been promoting it for several days in a row. Plus, it's free. If the venue was bigger, I wouldn't be surprised even if the number of people is doubled. Director Zhao, whose concert do you think this is? Zhang Ziohai asked. I don't know, Zhao Peng shook his head. Then he looked at his watch and frowned. It's almost 8 o'clock, why is it still dark around the stage? In fact, Zhao Peng was not the only one who was puzzled. Many people in the audience had similar doubts. The audience members in the stadium were still confused, while those who had only managed to grab standing tickets outside the stadium were a little irritated. What's going on? The venue is black, where's the screen? It's fine if you don't let me in, but there's no display screen either. If I had known earlier, I wouldn't have come. While everyone was still confused and discussing, a helicopter quietly stopped beside the stadium. After Lin Fan, Zia Bing and Zia Zhu got off the plane, they went straight to VIP 1 at the front of the stadium. Hu Tian, Chu Yunyu, Qiu Ziqian, Huang Ling, Han Tian, Song Jiaxin and the others were all there. When they caught sight of Lin Fan, their faces lit up. You guys are finally here, I thought you were going to be late. You're Zia Bing and Zia Zhu, right? You're really cute. Sit down, sit down. Zia Bing and Zia Zhu were very introverted. Originally, they were a little shy when they saw so many people. However, after being warmly greeted by them, they finally calmed down. Looking at the relaxed and harmonious expressions of the girls, Lin Fan heaved a sigh of relief. In fact, he had also gone through a mental struggle at the thought of letting the girls meet. All the girls knew that Lin Fan had other women. However, they had never met each other before. Lin Fan did not know what would happen if they really met. However, he had to face this sooner or later. After all, there was still a long way to go. Lin Fan could not separate everyone into different worlds. Therefore, he finally took this opportunity to let them meet first. From the looks of it, the situation was not bad. Lin Fan scanned the women, and when he saw Song Jiaxin, he could not help but use his eyes of truth. Appearance 95. Favorability 89.5. Seeing this, Lin Fan was stunned. 89.5. What was going on? Favorability. Song Jiaxin's favorability toward him last time seemed to be 89. It had increased. Tan Shengyu, who was sitting at the back, looked at the row of beauties sitting around Lin Fan and praised sincerely, as expected of brother Lin Fan. Is that even necessary to say? Liu Yuheng said. Sun Luguo, who was sitting next to him, looked at his watch and said, "It's almost 8 o'clock. Why is the stage still dark?" "Don't tell me it's not ready yet," Zhang Bin asked. Just as they were wondering, a soft sound suddenly appeared on the stage, attracting everyone's attention. In the next moment, the originally dark stage suddenly shot out 20 dazzling pillars of light. At the same time, 10 high-end, magnificent and cool Rolls-Royce Phantoms appeared on the huge stage. E Alpha GLES N letter 1D0F new EL Rolls-Royce Phantoms, each was worth 10 million. 10 cars meant 100 million. Most ordinary people might not even see one in their lifetime. At this moment, a total of 10 cars had appeared. The stadium was immediately filled with exclamations. F***CK Rolls-Royce Phantoms. Moreover, there are 10 of them. So cool. Using Rolls-Royce Phantoms as the light, how awesome. These exclamations did not only appear in the stadium. The audience outside the hall also exclaimed loudly. This was because a huge high-definition display screen of more than 100 square meters suddenly appeared in front of the originally pitch-black area. Although they could not see the 10 Rolls-Royce Phantoms at the scene, through the huge high-definition display screen, the outline and details of the Rolls-Royce Phantoms could be seen more clearly. On the display screen, the light beams formed by the 20 headlights looked more like 20 laser beams that cut through the night, adding a dreamy color to the stage. Just as countless viewers were exclaiming in amazement, a woman in a white muslin dress slowly rose from the stage. She only stopped when she was a few meters above the stage. She was today's main character, Ling Ru. Rumbled. At the same time, a helicopter suddenly appeared in the sky and shot out a dazzling beam of light that landed on Ling Ru. Instantly, her originally fair skin became slightly transparent. The white muslin dress on her body was as dazzling as the stars. This dress was actually inlaid with countless diamonds. Seeing this, the audience exclaimed again. Heavens, so beautiful. Is this a fairy? They're actually using a helicopter as a stage light. Isn't this too extravagant? Furthermore, it's not an ordinary helicopter. It's an MD-902 worth 45 million. The dress she's wearing seems to be the work of a famous Louis Vuitton designer, Lawrence. It's called Star. That's right, it's Star. I saw it at the International Fashion Exhibition Center in Country F not long ago. This dress is inlaid with 365 diamonds and the total value is more than 10 million US dollars. At this moment, the entire stadium was filled with a burst of light music. The music surrounded the audience and made them feel as if they were wearing headphones. It was extremely enjoyable. Some people shouted again. FM acoustics, it's FM acoustics. Heavens, this concert is actually using FM acoustics sound system. Is this audio system very expensive? Someone asked. Is it very expensive? Don't you know, FM acoustics is the world's top audio system. If a car needs to be equipped with FM acoustics, it would cost at least 1 million yuan, and a large-scale sound system for a concert like this would cost at least 20 million, no. Maybe 50 million. Everyone around gasped. A set of speakers cost 50 million. Oh my God, this had completely exceeded their imaginations. At this moment, the prelude music ended. Ling Ru, who was standing on the stage, slowly opened her willow-shaped lips. The trees in the mountains form a forest, the curved stream flows, the handsome man wields a long sword, and the fallen leaves do not touch his body. Her singing was light and free, with the help of FM acoustic sound system. It was as if the audience was depicting the wonderful life of an ancient chivalrous woman in the minds of the audience. At this moment, the audience seemed to have been transported into a world of ancient martial arts. They saw with their own eyes the swordswoman dancing as he eliminated evil, becoming famous all over the world. Everyone was intoxicated by it and could not extricate themselves. The song came to an end after a melodious tune. The moment the music stopped, thunderous applause erupted. Ling Ru listened to the audience's enthusiastic applause and looked at the excited expressions of the audience. Her beautiful eyes were faintly glistening with tears. She had successfully held a concert and won everyone's favor. Then Ling Ru looked around the audience. Soon her gaze landed on Lin Fan, who was sitting at the front. Ling Ru understood that all of this was because of Lin Fan. After the applause stopped, Ling Ru said, "Thank you for your applause. My name is Ling Ru and I've liked martial arts since I was young. I used to buy martial arts manuals from street stalls and secretly practice them at home. After a month of seclusion, I felt that my martial arts had already reached great success. Therefore, I ran out to fight with the boy who had bullied me in the past. In the end, I was beaten up until I cried." The audience did not expect the beauty on stage to have such an experience. They could not help but laugh. Ling Ru was also very satisfied with everyone's reaction and continued, "Later on, I finally understood something. I shouldn't be a martial arts genius. I wouldn't be able to become a martial arts expert. I could only imagine myself as a martial arts expert, which was how I came to compose Sword Dance." There was another round of applause. Qiu Ziqian, who was sitting in the front row, praised, "Is this our other sister? She's too beautiful and her singing is so good. Moreover, she actually knows how to tell stories. How amazing." Lin Fan almost choked on his own saliva. He explained, "I don't have that kind of relationship with her." "Really, it doesn't matter. There'll be that kind of relationship in the future anyway," Qiu Ziqian said. The surrounding women nodded in agreement. At this moment, Ling Ru, who was standing on stage, said, "Later on, my mother told me that girls should be quiet instead of always wanting to fight. In this way, there would be a prince riding a white horse who would dote on me like a princess in the future. However, this prince never appeared, so I wrote another song, 'I Am the Princess.'" A burst of pleasant music rang out in the spacious gymnasium again. The fairy tale book in the cabinet, the happiness of enjoying it alone. I had many feelings when I was young. I put on a gorgeous gown, walked into a gorgeous palace, and held the prince's hand to sing and dance. Different from the previous carefree and elegant song, the melody of this song was more brisk and leisurely. With the help of the FM acoustic sound system and the helicopter lights, Ling Ru seemed to have really become a noble princess. Everyone felt as if they were in a gorgeous banquet hall. They watched as Princess Ling Ru and a tall and handsome prince swayed gently to elegant music. Everything was so wonderful. The music stopped, and the audience once again burst into enthusiastic applause. Ling Ru had a good voice and was very hardworking. She sang hard every day. Today, her hard work over the years had finally paid off. At the end of each song, the live audience would give a round of applause. In the blink of an eye, she had sung more than 10 songs. The atmosphere at the scene did not slow down even though time had passed. On the contrary, it became even more enthusiastic. Everyone's faces were filled with enjoyment and excitement, and their bodies could not help but sway along with the music. Ling Ru picked up the microphone again and said, "I've always had a dream, and that was to hold a concert of my own. But I understood that dreams were just dreams. Most of the time, they can only appear in dreams. And today, someone helped me realize it. I wish to thank him. I don't know how long I have left in this life, but I know that he's definitely the most important person in my life. As she said this, Ling Ru's gaze was fixed on Lin Fan. As soon as she said this, the crowd immediately erupted into an uproar. Many of the audience members exclaimed loudly. Heavens, isn't this too romantic? Ling Ru, you're the best. Is this a confession? No. VIP 1. Hu Tian, Qiu Ziqian, Chu Yunyu, Huang Ling, Han Tian, and the other women all looked at Lin Fan with smiles. That appearance, it was as if they were saying, are still gonna say that she's not our sister. Lin Fan did not expect Ling Ru to say something like that. He rubbed his nose, he was too charming. Ling Ru ignored the noise and continued. The next song, which is also the last song of tonight's concert, is not my original song but his song. It's titled Galaxy. As soon as Ling Ru finished speaking, pleasant music immediately sounded in the venue. Although the audience was still a little excited because of Ling Ru's words, after the music started, they could not help but quieten down. They were all looking forward to it. They were looking forward to Ling Ru's beautiful singing. At this moment, Ling Ru finally opened her willow-shaped red lips slowly. It's a clear and cloudless night. A full moon hangs in the sky. Her long clothes dance in the wind. She's as soft as feathers, as light as a swan, and as fair as jade. If the previous sword dance had brought the audience into the world of chivalrous righteousness and lofty sentiments, then Galaxy brought the audience into the world of immortals and heroes. As the song rang out, they seemed to see Ling Ru move mountains and fill the sea, exterminate demons and devils, and finally leap into the vast starry sky. The sun and moon revolved above Ling Ru's head and the stars spun around her body. It was extremely magical. She was the only fairy in the world. In the next moment, she raised her hand and formed a rainbow sword. She slashed at the endless void. The terrifying sword light formed a storm that covered the sky and the sun, causing all chaos and the universe to shatter like bubbles. The most dazzling fireworks in the world bloomed. In the end, I split apart the chaos and the universe with a single sword strike. The music gradually stopped and the song ended. Silence. The entire place was silent at first. Everyone was shocked by this song. After a while, someone gradually came back to their senses and started clapping. Then everyone applauded. The applause shook the sky like thunder. Some people could not help but shout loudly. You sang so well. It was so great. This is definitely the best song I've ever heard. Alphagos novel si Ling Ru, you're the best. In fact, it was not just the ordinary audience who was excited. Zhang Ziohai, the deputy director of Gundong Entertainment, was also excited and shouted, she sang these songs so well, especially the last song. It was like splitting the heavens and earth. It's so good. Director Zhao Peng jumped up excitedly and shouted, beautiful appearance, excellent voice, strong creative ability, perfect stage performance. She's definitely going to be a superstar in the future. No, I have to talk to her. Then he hurried toward the stage. However, there were many people who had similar thoughts. The security guards had already expected this situation and blocked the surroundings of the stage. How could they let anyone get close? Ling Ru looked at the audience who were cheering for her crazily and was extremely excited. She bowed slightly and said, "Thank you for your applause, thank you." Then she slowly descended from the stage that was several meters high. At the same time, a voice rang out in the stadium. Today's concert will end here, please leave in order. However, the vast majority of people were still immersed in the beautiful song and did not have any thoughts of leaving. VIP 1. Hu Tian, Chu Yunyu, Huang Ling, Qiu Ziqian, Han Tian, and the others all looked at Lin Fan. The looks on their faces, it was as if they were saying, why didn't we know that you wrote such a good song? Lin Fan coughed lightly and said, writing songs is a very simple matter, that's why I didn't tell you guys. At this moment, a clear notification sounded in his mind. Ding, mission completed. Hold a concert with more than 100,000 spectators. You'll receive 10 silver packets. Mission accomplished. Lin Fan was in a pretty good mood as well, his lips curled up slightly. At this moment, Qiu Ziqian, who was sitting beside him, suggested, Ling Ru must be very tired after singing on stage for so long. Let's go and visit her. This sentence immediately gained the unanimous agreement of all the women. Normal people could not get close to the stage, but Lin Fan and the others were not included in this group of people. Xia Yan, like many others, was full of praise for Ling Ru's singing. She slowly stood up and muttered, "What a pity! If I had let my two obedient sisters learn to sing when they were young, they might be able to sing nice songs for me now." The next moment her eyes that were looking straight ahead moved slightly as if she saw two familiar figures. She said in surprise, "Huh, Xia Bing, Xia Zhu." However, by the time Xia Yan wanted to confirm it again, the two familiar figures had already been completely submerged in the sea of people. Xia Yan could not help but shake her head. "It's just my misconception. That's right, they should still be studying seriously in school and preparing for the competition. They're completely obsessed with Lin Fan as a mother, as an elder sister. I can't just watch them sink into oblivion. I have to save my good sisters." Xia Yan's lips curled into a faint smile. 265 Take good care of her, hot discussion. Lin Fan led the women through the passage under the lead of Flying Dragon Security Company's manager, Wang Xingli. They soon arrived at the stadium's lounge. Thank you, readers. At this moment Ling Ru was sitting inside. She seemed to have heard footsteps and slowly turned around. Instantly, Ling Ru's beautiful face appeared in everyone's sight. Ling Ru was very beautiful. However, when she was on stage, she gave off a dreamlike feeling as if she was in the clouds, out of reach. Now she had truly appeared in front of everyone. The star diamond dress, her jet black hair, fair skin, and voluptuous figure, the air was faintly filled with a unique fragrance of sweat. Even Lin Fan was stunned. Just as Lin Fan was looking at Ling Ru was also looking at Lin Fan. At this moment, in Ling Ru's eyes, Lin Fan was the only one standing in the lounge. If it was not for Lin Fan, she might have stayed in the bar for 2 years and then given up singing. If it was not for Lin Fan, she might not have been able to hold a concert in her lifetime, let alone receive so much applause. At this moment, Lin Fan's handsome face, tall figure, crisp voice, and the scene of him performing Galaxy, all of them were like scenes from a movie, gradually engraving themselves in the depths of Ling Ru's mind. In Ling Ru's eyes, the entire lounge had turned dark while Lin Fan's body emitted a dazzling light. At this moment Lin Fan, who was initially stunned, suddenly had a change in expression. It was because a crisp voice had suddenly sounded in his mind. Ding, charming aura triggered. Then Lin Fan could not help but use the eyes of truth on Ling Ru. Appearance 98. Favorability 95. As expected, charming aura was triggered on Ling Ru. At this moment Qiu Ziqian praised sincerely, "So beautiful. You're also very beautiful. Sister Ling Ru, your songs are so good," Huang Ling said. "Thank you," Ling Ru said. It seemed that it was easy for beautiful women to become friends. After a while, the women started chatting with Ling Ru and laughed from time to time. Even the shy Xia Bing and Xia Zhu also said something. They chatted for more than half an hour. At this moment, Hu Tian said, "Sister Ling Ru sang so many songs on stage just now. I think she's very tired. Lin Fan, you have to take good care of her later." When the women heard this, they also echoed, "Yeah, take good care of her. I'll leave Sister Ling Ru to you." Then the women walked out and closed the door. At this point, only Lin Fan and Ling Ru were left in the lounge. It was very quiet. The two of them sat facing each other, and they could even vaguely hear each other's breathing. The air, it gradually became hot and dry, causing Ling Ru's pretty face to flush red. Then the two of them seemed to be attracted by something. As they kept approaching, they got closer. "Oh epsilon. 3 epsilon. Letter 2C9, letter 2C9. After more than an hour, the door to the lounge slowly opened. Then, a helicopter flew over from afar and carried the two of them toward Coiling Dragon Villa. The Coiling Dragon Villa complex was very lively tonight. Soon, a long and special song sounded, and it did not stop for the entire night. The coiling Dragon Villa complex was bustling with activity, and the internet was even more lively. On Weibo. Junjai Zien, oh my god, the concert at Gyeongbei City Stadium is definitely the best concert I've ever been to, it was so cool. Dragon God, isn't that so? Not only was Ling Ru beautiful but she also sang so well. From today onward she's my goddess, no, she's a true goddess. Guarding the world, I got the tickets but didn't go. You guys are praising it so much that I'm a little regretful now. Shadowless brother, you'll regret it for the rest of your life. I took some videos with my phone, you'll know when you watch it. Guarding the world, F***CK, F***CK, the stage of the concert, am I seeing things? Are those 10 Rolls-Royce Phantoms? Using 10 Rolls-Royce Phantoms as lights, 100 million yuan worth of lights. The person closest to God, brother, you're not mistaken. Those are lights that cost 100 million, however, this is still nothing. Do you see the stage lights shining on Ling Ru? That's the light of a MD-902 helicopter. By the way, that helicopter costs 45 million yuan. The person closest to God. Also, do you see the shiny dress on Ling Ru? Those are all diamonds. This dress is called Star and is worth more than 10 million US dollars. Most mysterious person, the sound system at the concert is much better than at other concerts, because they used a complete set of FM acoustics. The total cost should be more than 50 million yuan. Most mysterious person, in addition there were 10 100 square meters LED high-definition display screens outside the stadium. The total cost of this is also more than 10 million yuan. As the most mysterious person concluded, more people exclaimed. Isha Irene, 100 million on lights, 45 million on stage lights, 70 million on clothes, 50 million on the sound system, 10 on million screens, that's a total of 275 million yuan. Heavens. Shadowless, don't just talk about money, look at Ling Ru's appearance and listen to her singing, that's simply the pinnacle of looks and vocals. Soon, the concert at Gyeongbei City Stadium became the top trending topic on Weibo. Moreover, under the intentional promotion of Penguin, Little Tanuki Corporation and Alphabet, videos and news of the event were still spreading. At this moment at Gundong Entertainment. Although it was already very late, director Zhao Peng still called for an emergency meeting with the higher-ups. I'm sorry to have called everyone over so late at night, but there is indeed something very important to discuss with everyone. I won't say much about the gossip. You should all know that there was a concert at Gyeongbei City Stadium tonight. If you don't know, you can take a look at the trending searches on Weibo. I've checked the information about the concert's main character, Ling Ru. She doesn't seem to have signed a contract with any entertainment company. What I mean is that we have to use methods such as offering a sky-high offer and massive amounts of resources as well as big-name advertisements to get her to sign a contract with our company or cooperate with us as much as possible. Otherwise, if other companies get ahead of us, we'll be left with endless regret. After hearing his words, some of the higher-ups frowned, while others lowered their heads in thought. Finally, a bald man said hesitantly, Ling Ru should be quite popular now. However, there were some people who were very popular in the past, but in the end they all disappeared completely in the ocean of the internet. Do we need to put in so much effort to work with her?